And we are live. My name is Outlaw. I am your host of RNN Live. Now, why don't we have our guests introduce themselves? Hold on, we're going to try to arrange this so...
Who the hell's on the bottom?
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Puts us on the bottom this time.
God, you're bottom bitch again.
Fuck. Hi, I'm 18 Putza. Historian and sometimes mild shit poster.
And at the current moment, it's good that he's 18.
God damn you.
Hello,
Neko.
I was just talking. Anyways, my name is Neko Boy. I'm a music producer and content creator.
And the usual bottom.
Not this time.
He finally gets to top someone.
Neko, you just made Putza your bottom bitch.
Anyways, Damon, introduce yourself.
Sup, I'm Damon. I'm here to talk about what happened in DC and the videos that I did from there. And no, I did not take Nancy Pelosi's gown.
Of course, he's leaving out a little bit of information that he is a running felon. So, for official reasons, he's not living in Florida.
No, I live in, according to my VPN, I live in Japan.
You see, you are a Veep.
Alright. History?
So, there's a lot of different things I talk about. Philosophy, masculinity, just a lot of different subjects. I really like reading about the subject of evolutionary psychology and sex, as well as veganism. And I can talk about that quite well in detail. Not here to pop up any weird subjects that no one wants to talk about, but yeah, I like learning and reading about lots of different stuff on my YouTube channel. I make videos, and got a Discord and Twitter, and yeah, and also thank you so much for Rational Outlaw for joining me, and anyone that's listening to this stream, please hit the like and share, subscribe, notification bell.
Well, thank you. And of course, his name is History's Shittiest Disciple. You can follow him on YouTube and everything. And,
yeah, I just got a question for him. Why are you here? It sounds like you got way too much high standards to be here.
Well, he is our local Canadian, so...
Hey, what does that mean? I got too much high standards.
You know exactly what it means.
You think I'm one of those Canadians that's looking down on those Americans, being like, you goddamn Americans, eh? You so dumb. You spend all your money. And
Well, meanwhile,
we have Trudeau.
To be fair, you are the only country in the world to have a prime minister to have the same situation that Michael Jackson went through, except in reverse.
Hey! This is a Canadian logic. You Americans, eh? So fucking racist, eh? Without even realizing how racist that sounds.
To be fair, the only Canadian I ever met was someone who used to work for Justin Trudeau. Don't ask me how I met him. I met him at a gym back in Goa. And he just loves Justin Trudeau. I just asked him, what about the spending? And he just walked.
So, I mean, so there's two things I want to say about this. First off, I'm actually relatively politically neutral. In fact, in 2 years in a row, I've gotten slightly right of center, but for economically speaking. But in particular, when it comes to Trudeau, something I want to say is most Canadians I've talked to, like, if you talk to the far left Social Democrats, I'm not trying to be biased here, most of them are way fucking smarter than the people that voted for Trudeau. Most people that voted for Trudeau they're like lemmings to the flame. They just literally, or like lemmings running off the hill.
Well, of course,
they're just
because
listening to the mainstream. Hold up. They're just listening to the mainstream media. And if I ask them why Trudeau's a good leader, very few of them actually have an articulate good idea. Now, if they like some sort of policy he put forward, and that's why they voted for him, fine. But most of them have no idea why they support him. The only thing that they know is that being too far left might be bad, or being too far right. So it's generally almost like an identity of being
Centrism?
neoliberal, center left, or centrist, and it's very concerning because a lot of them I have talked to have very little justification for voting for Trudeau, in comparison to people that voted for NDP. And once again, I didn't vote for the NDP, so I think that says a lot.
Yeah, well, I can vouch for history. He's a pretty good guy. Just whatever you do, don't get him on the topic of sex. He'll be at it for days. I was up to 3:40 with him last night, talking about it.
Hey, I thought you enjoyed that talk.
I
told
did.
me you
I
loved
did.
me.
I did.
What-
I did.
what
I
the
did.
hell am
All
I
right.
hearing?
I did, but I needed to go to sleep. Okay.
So wait, you disagreed. You disagreed when I said you told me you loved me.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Just put some maple syrup in a dish and put him in the corner.
Jokes
There's the
aside,
American racism right over here.
Oh, shut up, German.
Jokes aside.
Hey! Unlike you Americans, we had the balls to end the race.
God.
So what was it? When it comes to like reading about this stuff, I really like being knowledgeable. I spend a large portion of my life being very ignorant on the subject I talked about, and honestly, it's good to learn.
Okay, I just have to read for Zeo Gold, if that's how you pronounce your name. What did I walk into? You have no idea what you just walked into. Anyways. Alright, I'm the one left to introduce ourselves, and then we can torture ourselves with videos. I'm the regularly scheduled weeb and second in control of everything.
Was that the death camps?
Oh, they already have
Legally,
been
I have to say no.
Okay.
Anyways.
Alright, did you hear about the new disaster in New York?
What's going on
With the
now?
COVID vaccine? Basically, from the chaos of what I understand, is that Governor Cuomo has ordered hospital rooms to be filled with sick patients, but then is also refusing to give the vaccine.
Sounds like Cuomo.
It sounds like mass death is going to come soon again. Because this 4 people are watching, and I want to see shares and likes people.
Now it's 8 people.
And subscribes and notification bells. If you don't,
Okay.
I will find you. And when I do, I will ride to my house with my army of mooses and beavers. You will not know I fucking hate you.
Yes,
your
and then
house
he'll
is
shatter your
destroyed.
perception of sex.
Yes.
Fucking hell, Roy. A hellhound, a dragon, a turd, a demon, and a cat, and an unfortunate bottom walked into a
The beavers will destroy your house.
Hey, I've got a squirrel army.
The beavers will
Isn't
destroy
it
your
supposed
house.
to be gators?
Oh, yeah, well, I have a pet gator.
And listen,
Demon, mutant-
Americans have 2 weapons. All right, there's our AR-15s and obesity.
Florida
Yes,
man
we
just
can
rose
use
a
our
baby
weight
gator.
against you. We'll just body slam you with our
You want to know a
bodies.
really funny fact? Okay, just before anything, I was doing research on a topic for a video I was going to make in the future called Medieval World War II. And so the Japanese were about a foot shorter and weighed a hell of a lot. They were a hell of a lot more skinnier. And I was seriously, like Americans were the most fat out of any army.
You want to hear a stupid story?
Sure.
A guy robbed a liquor store in Florida with a gator.
Yeah, we already know that. There's
Anyways,
also a guy who was charged with assault with a deadly weapon because he threw an alligator through the McDonald's drive-thru window.
Welcome to Florida.
anyways, why don't we get on today's stream topic, since we weren't able to do it last week. Although I did my video on it, I figure we can talk a bit more, discuss opinions, different views of what might happen, what may not happen. And all
We're doing the
that.
Capitol storming first, right?
Yes, the Capitol storming.
Okay.
So, any particular thoughts about it? Do you?
I mean,
was there.
what?
Let's start with Putza first.
Okay. Well, I'm glad for once that the media has legitimately and rightfully called out political violence. I just wish they did it for the last 7 months. And I certainly wish that they did it on the last sort of storming, which I don't think it was racism that prevented the Black Lives Matter activists from getting in there. You fuckers told them for the past 3 months that you were going to storm it. And then plus, you took the time to vandalize your property and see, you're not good brawlers, unlike the Trump supporters. But I don't know. I'm just like I feel like a bunch of lives could have been saved if they were saying the same thing about it. But a really bad consequence of everything that's happening is the mass censorship. Like, I used to watch Computing Forever. I think that's his name. He just recently got banned. Yeah, he recently got banned. A bunch of people are getting
from YouTube or
from YouTube.
I did want to bring up some
now.
good news. Is that apparently Trump's Facebook and Instagram were reinstated.
Yes, but I feel like they're going to use this as a justification to keep expanding upon censorship.
Oh, definitely. Biden has already promised Patriot Act 2.0, except it also involves a reform of the internet.
Yeah,
Jack Dorsey already said you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah. Well, it's just not with that. 40 people are dead, billions of dollars of damage, and another seizing of the White House. They wait till fucking Trump supporters to do it, to actually address any kind of issue revolving the political situation. My God. That just says a lot about fucking society.
No, it says a lot about the media.
True.
But yes, but they're backed by fucking a large part of the government now. They always have been, but Jesus Christ. But like a lot of people that I've talked to in person, like honestly to God, think that he was insinuating violence, which if that's the fucking case, then every single Congress member should be shot and hanged. Like fuck, man. Martin Luther King could have been executed for what they're claiming the guy. And the fact that they're impeaching somebody off of something that he couldn't even be legally charged for when he's not even in office. By the time the court proceedings, it's likely going to be 100 days. Like, what the hell was even the point? Unless
For
if you're
them
just
not
trying
to do anything else.
Yeah. Unless if you're just trying to show, that was like the most divisive thing imaginable. It just shows how power hungry somebody is. And then the amount of authority. So, a little bit of a disagreement was. I think it was Tim Pool. I think he was saying that the Republicans after this are going to go, I think, farther left, which I disagree. Like a lot of Republicans, I think about 70 million of them think it's still unfair to what happened to him. And I don't think that most people easily conflate that to Trump. And even if, those voters aren't going anywhere. Even if Trump, his movement dissipates or he as an individual is gone, there'll likely be somebody to replace them. I don't know who the hell that is, but that ideas aren't going anywhere.
It doesn't matter. It's not about Trump. It's about the message and the policies. Like, Trump's not there, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Well, like I went and I bought the newspaper for the actual storming because I think this is possibly one of the most important moments in U.S. history because I think at this point everything's going to politically change for the left and the right. Well, I think for an absolute, without a doubt, the main dominant culture in America is left wing. They have the House, the Senate, and a lot of people who, to some extent, support it, but they have a lot of power. And everything's shifting and moving in such a very fast way that, like, for instance, Trump is a side effect of things that were changing with the Republican parties for decades, and it finally manifested in the form of Trump. And he has more support than the entirety of the Republicans ever have. And that's just one example of everything just moving so incredibly fast. I think that both parties, give or 10 or 20 years, one of them's going to dissipate. I actually think it might be the Republicans first, because I don't know how well they're going to order or maintain their voting base or how well Trump supporters are going to stay. Because the populist movement, it already hit. It already was successful. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take to manifest within the Democratic Party because you do have a new generation of leftists, as sort of AOC as an example, who are completely alienated towards, well, Joe Biden, the corporate Democrats, or the, corporatist Democrats. And there's a lot of factions in the Democratic Party that are very right-wing. The Hispanic community, the African Americans, a lot of them have farther, at least especially towards things like gay marriage, and and of course, well, Muslims, a lot of people. It's a big camp of people that generally have a bunch of conflicting influence, and I think that might Austrian-Hungarian effect. One of the mainstays of the ability of any party or nation is that most people coherently can talk to each other. Like, for instance, one of the biggest reasons that Africa is so fucked up, I think it's the state of Zimbabwe. It has over 200 different ethnicities and over 300 different languages are speaking. That's not something that can be unified so goddamn easily.
Well, how many ethnicities and languages were being spoken in Austria-Hungary and that whole shit collapsed?
Yeah, that's my point. And Austrian-Hungarian Hungary was much smaller.
Wasn't
so
it like
I view...
I think it was like 8 or 9.
I think it was like 9. Like there were Slavs, Germans, like 6, 8, 9, somewhere around that.
I'll check it up.
Yeah. But anyway, that party I think is eventually going to collapse, reform into something else, and then the Republicans are probably going to collapse first. And the main catalyst of everything that's being shooken up is this event. Like there's this sort of big misconception, at least here, that like a lot of people I know don't trust the media, but then again, they aren't militantly against them as we are. Like if they say like Amber Alert, a child's gone missing, they're going to pay attention, or some kind of weather warning, or fucking Republicans storming the Capitol, they're going to listen to that. And that event, whether if we like it or not, has mentally traumatized a lot of people. And the fact that those events haven't mentally traumatized was the leftists or the Black Lives Matter riots didn't traumatize them as much as this did, despite everything about the event being a hell of a lot less negligible in damage. Like it's mostly symbolic. And even in them, like the leftist protests, they vandalized a lot of the property, vandalized World War II monuments, and the people similarly had to be moved to secure areas like Trump.
Well, I would say the reason for that is because they're just so, well, in a sense, although I don't like to use this term, but in a sense, brainwashed because they can't see the forest through the trees. They can't see what's right in front of them because.
Well, I think a lot of it's just censored, and it takes an incredible
It just comes down to the whole thing that people don't bother. I mean, it's like I said, if I have to say the biggest complaint that I can say about Germans that I see, is that I find that the German public is genuinely lazy. Not lazy in the sense of the work ethic, lazy mentally. Because I've seen so many Germans over here don't have the forethought to think about what the state is telling them. They just follow it.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
well, just a lot of people are so blatantly ignorant. Like, for instance, take Muhammad Ali. All right, his name used to be Cassius Clay. You know why he changed it? Because it was a white man's name. In his name, in his eyes, a slavery name. But you know what name he took? Muhammad Ali. Have you ever heard of the Ottoman slave trade? I think they took around somewhere around 100 million people. A lot of their names was Muhammad and Ali. And that's such a fucking ignorant thing to... The amount of stupidity there.
Yes, it's ignorance, it's lack of understanding of what it actually is, and a lot of this is to blame is because of the teaching within schools and everything, and also because of the media and because of left-wing politicians. All of this is their blame in the sense that they want to keep everyone ignorant of what is actual true history and true things of what are going on.
Actually, can I have a little say on that?
Go ahead.
So I think I was slightly reflecting upon when you guys were talking a little bit about some of my conversations with leftists. So in a lot of servers I'm in, a lot of them are very far left, particularly vegan servers, but I disagree with a lot of them. So I know somebody who supported the BLM riots, but he can...
I don't mean to fully interrupt. I'm just going to say, if you expect a vegan to be right-wing, expect an impossibility.
Actually,
not always.
Anyways, let's just get history continue.
Yeah, I should meet one of my mods. Admins. But anyway, so the thing is, I really had a deep reflection because something he particularly went to is they'll try to name traits to try and seem consistent, but at the end of the day, one of the reasons why he was for the BLM riots was because it's going to help push policies that he wants. So in reality, even if he can try and make it consistent, it's usually a scapegoat for cognitive dissonance, particularly with the subject of the riots, maybe you can make it consistent, but even then it's very difficult. And I personally, I don't buy it a lot of times. You're just supporting the violence that suits your agenda and your perspective of morality. Now, for example, obviously we all understand foundations of premises, which is reasonings, and they can easily fall into fallacies, right? But if you're doing it because it's particularly good for your party, then why can't the Republicans do violent protests, what's good for their party and their interest? Now, getting on to what I just wanted to move to is, have you ever heard of Dr. James Lindsay Shepard, Rational Law?
I don't recall.
So I recommend watching The Babylon Project or America Uncovered. So
a really good channel.
Yeah, so Dr. James Lindsay Shepard is a mathematician, PhD mathematician, and he's an ex-Antifa member, and he talks about the history of intersectionality as well as the history of critical race theory. So if you look at critical race theory on Wikipedia, or just in general anywhere, usually one of the premises that they'll find is that they assume that white nationalism still exists. So they conflate the difference, so that what they're doing is, I've actually figured it out, they're conflating a correlation with a causation. So, for example, what's the causation of the past? And even though it did help cause it to the present, for example, the reason why whites are more privileged, a part of it is because of slavery, right? A part of it is because of war on drugs. No, just the part of it's a war on drugs. A part of it's slavery, and obviously it's not just slavery, right? But all right, go ahead. The point that I'm trying to make here is that they try to conflate these correlations to be the causations. And something that Dr. James Lindsay Shepard said is we have to call them out on he claimed that people that believe in critical race theory, they need to be called out on actually having evidence and proof for their foundations. So if you look at the media, the reason why they don't report on the BLM riots quite the same is a foundation of morality. So it's not even that all leftists agree with the BLM riots. In fact, I'd probably argue most of them probably don't. And in fact, I'd argue a lot of them probably don't agree with violence in general. But the problem is the media doesn't really give a shit as much because it's influenced by critical race theory, which is influenced by academia. Then academia censors out people within academia who speaks out against these ideas, such as Brett Weinstein, Heather Heyer, blah, 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 Jordan Peterson. But then there's the next step where they'll censor out the media. So basically, what I think we're witnessing now is like a generational leftist brainwashing through media, I guess you could say. Or one way, basically what I'm trying to say here is their foundations for their beliefs is based off a theory that has to do with a correlation. I was talking to somebody who believed in critical race theory, and I was telling him how it was racist. And even if you could make a coherent, sound argument that it is an element of racism still alive today, these people still believing in these things are not necessarily racist. For example, corrupt politicians are not necessarily racist. They're just corrupt politicians. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white. And that's not to say that we should not try and prove it, but to say that white supremacy still exists because of a correlation that is no longer a causation is intellectually dishonest. And the thing is once you can try and draw out these foundational problems with their epistemology, you can then start to break it down and start to drive it into more insane reductios. Like, for example, transgender people are more likely to be to go through abused childhoods. So you could say, oh, well, that correlation equals causation, even though depending on your chemicals in the womb, that is also a correlation for your sexuality. Another correlation is also brain scans show that transgender people are more likely to have similar brain function to the opposite sex. Basically, you could use the exact same epistemology against them. And I know this is like a long rant here, but I'm trying to explain.
Yeah, you think?
Well, yeah, but this is like the whole moral framework.
To be fair, Putz's rant was longer.
Yeah, this was like the problem with the moral framework of people who believe in critical race theory, and how we're going to see more and more young leftists believing this, probably because of people like Vosh, or that's a possibility, is that more young leftists might sort of be indoctrinated into these ideas that are very, I guess you could say, very, very problematic. In short,
I would just say toxic.
Toxic, problematic, whatever you want to call it. Very intellectually
I don't
dishonest.
like that. I just personally find it a problematic term. Just
well,
cringy.
it's been
I just
mentally
prefer
traumatizing, considering who's been using it.
I mean,
Anyways,
me, just real quick, I think I briefly touched on this with history. A lot of modern leftism, especially I think around time of the collapse of the Soviet Union, was the Marxist revolution didn't happen because they believed that we were too indoctrinated by capitalist thought. And so the only way to achieve the Marxist dream was essentially to destroy the current social psyche of the West and everything else. And a lot of it is essentially just usurping a current cultural hegemony or power that exists. And it's going to be moving rapidly, like the bare structure, what most people don't even realize, will be attacked and exerted. And that's just what a lot of leftism is moving towards these days.
Anyways, let's go on to the next person's thoughts. Nico?
Hey, so the day this happened, I'll admit my opinion was mixed, because like part of me it's like, well, the left got away with it so long, I guess it's our turn, but at the same time it's like, no, that still looks really bad. And as we're seeing, like, you know, it's backfiring so much since, of course, the media is pretty biased. And being honest, we're kind of supposed to be better than them to begin with.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the whole concept of being better than your opposition isn't working anymore.
And that's also that's sort of the problem to some extent. In some ways, it's not a matter of being better. It's a matter of how do I say?
Principle?
No. It's not even that, because principle doesn't always necessarily matter, because when they're not when the left doesn't really acknowledge its own mistakes, they can actually sort of come across to a they can come across as being they can throw their sins under the bus while using the right as a scapegoat. For example, they can ban Trump but not ban Vosh. By being intellectually regressive in that manner, it gives them the ability to, or differist, it gives them the ability to not acknowledge their faults.
They're able to be hypocrites in a sense.
Yeah. So basically, because it's announced that Trump has been removed, it basically creates this mindset that the right is the only people that are doing anything wrong, when in reality the left gives the left a pass for everything. So the solution isn't necessarily to give the right a pass for everything. The solution, if anything, is to actually intellectually take the fight to them, criticize them, explain to them why they're wrong. I mean, like, if you can actually really read about these things like critical race theory, I'd highly recommend it. It can really help you change someone's perspective. You know, just a simple, 20-minute read here and there.
So, anyways, so going back to the aftermath of what happened, so I'll admit Trump getting banned from Twitter was kind of terrifying, but then shortly after I saw kind of actually let me rewind a bit. So Trump getting banned was terrifying, and so like a lot of people, I made my Parler account, and then Parler getting banned was even more terrifying.
Not banned,
but
remove, destroyed, taken out to a back alley, shot.
You get my point. Anyways, but then I also realized it was kind of Parler for stupid to use Amazon servers to begin with. So now we have mines growing while Twitter loses $3 billion. So it's kind of accelerating what Jack Dorsey was already doing. Or planning to do anyway.
Add Facebook to that list, because also Facebook has lost in the billions. I think I'll need to find it.
And that's probably why they added Trump back, I would assume.
Okay, I got some questions here, real quick. First up, by the way, actually, I may as well say, when I used to be Unpopular Thought, I actually had my Facebook removed. Like, if I joined any right-wing groups, my Facebook would be removed immediately. Now, something I'm actually curious about is when it comes to like Parler, did the actual website get taken down?
Yes.
Yes.
Are they going to be able to bring it back up, or?
They're not sure if they will be able to, according to the CEO.
They're suing.
This is
well, and because so far, like other services they tried talking to wouldn't take their business.
This is really this is troubling. This is worrying. This is really troubling.
Concerning.
Yeah, it's very concerning. Wow. I didn't actually know about that. I heard everyone was complaining about Parler, but actually I didn't know what was going on because I didn't have a Parler. I already have enough social media as is, like Discord, Lines, Twitter.
I mean, I thought it was pretty terrifying just how much power they have, but I think they should have gone the Minds route and made their own servers, hired people to build that. And I don't know what Minds uses, but I'd highly recommend that site because unlike
I
the
highly
problems,
recommend you guys watch the stream that he had with Tim Pool. He gives a very good example of what they do.
To be fair, though, does anyone even still use Minds? Because I've left Minds like.
I occasionally I run a group. I run a group on it, and I have a moderator that mostly runs it, and I check in every week or so. Which it has been exploding in popularity, and it's always been reliable to use. But
which I was going to say, it's been growing recently, and one of the benefits why it's gotten so popular is because unlike Parler and Gab, it's not as politically focused. There are a lot of artists who just want to meme or put up their art and music, so
but
that's
like,
been drawing a lot of
centrists.
centrists.
I mean, you can get like subscribers and everything because like I have like over 600 subscribers last I checked on there, and I had like maybe 1-2 views.
Yeah, you should have been a porn star.
Check back.
Well, I do have an OnlyFans, although no pornography on it as of
yet.
No.
Nope, that will never happen. Okay, so I finally found it, although I cannot get which percentage. So 3 days ago, the total amount lost that both Twitter and Facebook combined have lost since banning Trump has been $51 billion.
I was going to say 50.
Well, $51 billion in stock value, we should say.
Correct.
Still doesn't change it. It still scares them. And Jack Dorsey has been doubling down ever since then.
Well, Jack Dorsey also has Square, which is a payment processor to lean back on. So he'll still be a billionaire at the end of the day. And as we've seen with a lot of these, but
activists, I have to question.
Hey, can I finish, please?
No. Anyways.
So, okay, the thing is with this, it's a pretty terrifying trend with a lot of these companies and activists within companies. They are willing to lose money in order to push their agenda, as we've been seeing, with, for example, cartoons that get canceled that have extremely low viewership but keep getting pushed because and they're able to get away with making less money to push their agenda. And that's the same with Jack Dorsey, although he's a little better off because he still has another company to make billions off of.
Yeah, I think that is a problem, and if the right ever wants to gain any semblance of keeping their movement, they need to go into the media sphere in both creating content, for entertainment content, and also creating, still continuing the news effort, obviously, and also going into academia. We need to go into all these different fields if we want to regain the people back.
Yeah, that's been one of my biggest criticisms of the right, and so far one of the best people doing that is Raging Golden Eagle. He raised $200,000 for a graphic novel he's making, and it's not politically focused. He just wanted to make a good story, and it's doing phenomenally well.
I did want to point out one positive thing about the whole shitty cartoons thing. Because the main issue with the working staff behind Steven Universe, okay, what's all of the CalArts cartoons? We got Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Gravity Falls is unfortunately in that list, although it's the better written one. What's the other one? There was one more. OKKO.
Gumball.
No, Gumball is the exception out of this group. I'm talking about this main one. Mainly, the whole thing that was between this group is that they're all interconnected by the same group of friends, and basically each one got their own show through nepotism. But
Yeah, like
just wait, because they functioned like Tumblr, including STDs. I am not joking. There's a hilarious story of how one of these people got an STD from a prostitute, and it spread to each other head of each of these cartoon studios because each one is cheating on the other. But that's not the important thing. What happens is that they like to blacklist a lot of people, especially those that don't go with them, which is terrible for them, but it's kind of backfired because a lot of people who want to start in animation are now using their skills elsewhere and getting away from the main ones, which is run by these people. So there is some hope. One of the main hopes that I can remember in recent memory is Has Been Hotel, which they tried to completely destroy the political left for some reason. Why did the political left try to destroy Has Been Hotel?
so. The far left were like complaining because the gay people are in hell and they're like horrible people, but it's like no, duh, they're in hell. So
okay, so that's so they were complaining about no reason. They tried to destroy it, and after 6 years, they've actually got their show made and using similar method.
Yeah, so like for like 3 years or so, she was like putting together ideas and putting together, her team. So yeah, it took about 3 or 4 years, and it wasn't the industry itself that was against it. It was just the SJWs on Twitter.
That's the issue. The people who act like gatekeepers to the current American animation industry, if you want to call it more precisely, they are basically social media whores. I mean, what's the Jewish one from Steven Universe, the creator of Steven Universe? And I have to call her Jewish because every time you try to question her on social media, she points out that she's Jewish.
Rebecca Sugar.
Yeah,
yes, Rebecca Sugar. If you check out her track record, basically, if you are smart enough with your ways, you can go into her inner circle and try to convince her to write something stupid for Steven Universe, and it's happened on a bunch of occasions. And with like a situation with whatchamacallit, with Adventure Time, the reason why the whole thing between Princess Bubblegum and Marceline even happened is because they hired freelance writers to write episodes who lined politically with them, and no one actually checked what the hell they were writing. They just animated it.
And as for Rebecca Sugar, do you have any examples of like stupid stories she was convinced to write?
Are you talking about
no, it's more that she pushes other people to do it, and if they don't write it for her, then she fires them. The one thing that I do know is that there is some guy on staff who has a large woman fetish, and every episode that he's written always revolves around large women maybe crushing people, and also has pushed someone else to write an episode like that for him.
So I'm actually curious, are you referring to like the episode of Adventure Time where that... I don't watch Adventure Time, the guy got like a girlfriend and the girlfriend broke up with him for another girl or some shit? Is that what you're talking about?
I haven't seen like 80% of Adventure Time, so probably I haven't seen the episode you're talking about. I'm just saying that like the whole thing with Princess Bubblegum and Marceline started because they basically gave a fan fiction writer the ability to write an episode for them, and no one checked, and they just sent it off to animation.
Like yeah, what was it? Like I remember talking about that with one of my friends. It's a great way to make like a bunch of kids feel incredibly, like it's a one way to boost the egos of like bisexual women and lesbians, but it's a one way to like fucking really make men homophobic and insecure. Like, yeah, your girlfriend's gonna break up with you for another girl. That's not a healthy message to send to little kids.
Or how about the Steven Universe episode, the one with the girl where she traps the boy that she has a crush on and Steven on that island, and the whole episode is written that the guy and the guy that she likes is the bad guy because he gets angry at her at the end because she basically trapped them on an island where they nearly die every other 5 minutes.
Well, and that's another thing, like with these shows, is like there's so many lesbians, and it's gotten to the point where actually a lot of gay men feel kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like they feel left out because they're
Left
always
out is
like,
2
oh,
words.
they're just in the background for 1 second.
Well, that's what happens when you get stuff written by Rebecca Sugar, especially the songs by a person who can't play the fucking ukulele,
Well,
but
in
still
a lot of
plays the
these-
ukulele.
Well, and a lot of these like writers and creators are bi or lesbian themselves, so I mean, go figure. They're pushing their own identity and
I
agenda.
hate to be that guy, but I think we're getting off topic.
Yes,
I
we
think we
are.
got
You
off topic a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're still talking, and the capital city riots has happened. It's completely backfired.
Anyways.
Expect a dark America.
Val, I just have to interrupt. Anyways, let's have
Don't
Neko
call me
finish
that.
any final thoughts he had.
Huh?
Neko?
Neko?
Final thoughts. It just shows really how much the media controls the narrative, and kind of like what Z was saying about German people, like people are a little too gullible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That pretty much
Who's
covers it.
pouring water?
Oh, shit. It's my fish tank. Okay, is it good? Is it good?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Okay.
All right, do I get to talk now?
yes. See.
But try not to go into a long tangent where we go off topics for, like, how much have we been going on? 41 minutes?
I think
now?
it was, yeah.
It's
No, I was
completely
just gonna talk
fine.
about
We
BT.
missed the last week's stream. We
Anyways,
can
go
afford to
ahead,
make this
Demon.
just a little bit longer.
All right, so basically, going to DC, like it is such, like I filmed like constantly. When going to the subway, you would not believe, like it was like a homeless camp around it. Outside my hotel room, there was like dirty masks and needles and stuff, and you had to wear a mask everywhere. So I met a large group of people at the hotel, and so we all went together. We took the subway there. Everything was cool. We walked around. I met up with Aircraft Sparky and Let's Be Frank. And then we walked around. We interviewed some people. We were just talking to the folks. Just, everybody was calm, peaceful, having a good time. There were different little groups of people that like had speakers and stuff like that. And nothing was going on. And then when we were like, okay, well, we should head down to the Capitol and see what happens down there. So we went down. We climbed up on a fountain. I mean, by climbed up, I mean it was like 5 feet. And so everything was cool at first. And then these two people with bullhorns showed up. Now, they were dressed like Trump supporters, but I was like, those are not Trump supporters. And sure enough, they just recently arrested Antifa and BLM people that were inside the Capitol.
Yep, I saw
So
that.
the agitators, now I'm not saying there weren't Trump supporters that weren't dumb enough to do it, but out of the thousands and thousands of us there, most of us were like, nah. It was maybe 100 people that rushed the cops out of all the people there, and we were just like, okay, nope. And they started stealing the barricades and taking them back. And so I started going, and I don't know why people brought their kids. So like there was a little girl there, and I was like, okay, come with me. Like, where's your mama? Because I was like, okay, you need to get the hell out of here. So I got her to her mom, and I was like, y'all go, get out of here. So we stayed for a little bit more to start filming stuff. And then they finally broke through the barricades. They broke through the police line and then rushed the Capitol. And the whole rumor that they kicked in the door, no, the cops opened the door. Like, I watched it happen. Oh, and the whole 5 people were killed. No, one had a heart attack. One had a stroke. Another one, like, he climbed some scaffolding, and he fell because he was an idiot. So Darwin Award for that kid.
So wait, one person died because of a heart attack. Another person died because they fell off of the building. You're saying?
Well, they fell off scaffolding.
Scaffolding. What about?
And one had a stroke.
And then a third one had a stroke.
Yes.
There's 2 that you're
only
missing.
2 people died directly because of the riot portion.
Yeah, one cop
Yes.
and the girl that got shot in the neck.
Okay, then there's one more to add. Then I guess the total is 6, because there was one woman who was trampled to death during a part of the riots.
Was she inside or
on the way outside or on the way inside? I forgot which way. Either way, she was morbidly obese. She got trampled on and died, and it's kind of ironic how she died because she brought a "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
Oh,
It is tragically ironic.
Yeah, I never where the barriers were, I never crossed over.
Legally speaking.
No, I never went across there. And then when all that stuff started happening, I stayed long enough to get footage of it. And then me and the guys I was with, we all got separated. So I just turned around and I was like, nope, I'm out. I don't feel like getting tear gassed. I did get pepper sprayed though.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was kind of like behind and to the left of one of the guys that was up there being an ass. And the cops sprayed him. And, it makes a cloud. So, yeah, I got caught in that. But I love spicy food. So I was just like, tastes like pepper. I eat ghost peppers for fun. Damn it.
So wait, you just spray it on your hot dog?
I was like, yo.
Actually, the scary thing about pepper spray is you shouldn't have it as a liquid format, because pepper spray is a super, irritant, so it will literally cause your skin to boil over.
It did. I mean, my eyes turned red and kind of had
Still
a cough.
suffering from it now?
No, that's just because I'm a smoker.
Oh.
So, anyways, like a bunch of us we were like, okay. And by the way, this whole report that, all these armed people. I'm sorry. All day, I didn't see one person that was armed. I mean, maybe someone had something in their pocket, but all weapons are illegal in DC. So,
to be fair, if it wasn't illegal, I would have no problem with anyone being armed, or actually, I wouldn't have been any problem with anyone being armed because everyone should be allowed to be armed at a protest. Although, when it goes right, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah, but that was, I mean, like I said, like I was looking right at it, and it was maybe 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once they got through, yeah, a bunch of people followed and were just standing on the steps, but they didn't go inside. Oh, and yeah, they arrested BLM, Antifa.
Yes, I heard that. How many were confirmed to be BLM and Antifa? Because I know there were some.
So far, from what
2.
I can find, what I could find was several. Apparently, from the footage, the big ones smashing windows and indoor furniture were the ones that you could put on the guilty list.
Yeah, there's BLM-wise, there was only one confirmed by Andy No who got arrested.
Because he was also arrested in Portland before.
Yep.
So at least 2 were confirmed.
At least 2, maximum several.
But that's just so far. And then,
Yeah.
stupid old Baked Alaska, his idiot butt just got arrested and charged with felony.
Oh, by the way,
Oh.
did they finally caught him again?
As far as I understand. Wait, they did? Boo, I was hoping to see if this saga could last on for a couple of weeks.
Anyways,
Yeah.
what about the Viking guy?
Oh, yeah, he's insane.
Well,
Yeah, I
obviously, he's dressed
We
as a Viking.
could already get by the Viking-esque suit.
Also,
He told the cops he was from an alien race.
also,
he's from
wasn't there a
Arizona?
registered Democrat arrested?
Uh-huh.
What was
There was
that,
a
Nick? I didn't quite
registered
hear.
Democrat arrested at the riot, and he was the son of a Democrat politician.
Yeah,
but
that's
he
what
could
I'm
have been
saying.
a Trump voter, so that it really didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, real quick about the Viking guy, there was this really funny image going around saying they caught the Viking guy and he was grazing right next to some buffalo.
I like the better. I like the better one I sent somewhere. I think I sent it to Outlaw over here. If I can find it, I'll send it the image to y'all.
But anyways, and I know the podium guy. I believe you said he was a confirmed Trump supporter, right? The guy who stole the
that
podium.
guy, the black guy, yeah, he was.
The black guy. I'm talking about the guy who stole the podium.
Oh, well, there's another one that I think got arrested. It was,
No, I'm talking about the guy who stole the podium. Is an actual
The
Trump
Florida
supporter.
man.
He's just a Florida man who stole Nancy
Yeah, I
Pelosi's
believe-
podium.
I believe he was from Ocala, which is like the white trash
And
capital of
what
Florida.
do we know of the person with the what looks to be handcuff zip ties?
I don't know. The only person I saw with zip ties was a cop.
I know there was one person that I've seen in the photos that had handcuff zip ties. Only one I could see though when I've seen footage and stuff.
Well, there was 4 different sides of the Capitol. I was only on one. I mean, we did a loop around it.
Mhm.
Like, we walked around the whole thing. And I guess the opposite side of where we were at got breached first.
Mm-hmm.
And that emboldened the people on the side we were on to go ahead and start crap. And
Now, can you hear any chanting? Because I know there's allegedly a large percentage or a number of the people outside of the building were saying, "Don't go in," Antifa, and all that.
there was the whole group I was in. There was a girl right behind me that was screaming like, "Stop! What are you doing? This is not who we are. We don't do this." And someone pointed to the girl with the bullhorn, and they were like, "That's Antifa." And I was like, "Yeah, she don't seem like a Trump supporter."
Mm-hmm.
Because she was screaming, she wanted blood, she wanted violence, and I was just like, "Who is this chick?"
She could have also been on her period.
And the funniest one,
Hey, I've nearly been stabbed by a teenage girl in my class because of it.
one of
Now,
the
what
other-
about the claims that some of the people there were claiming to commit violence towards Mike Pence?
I didn't hear that at all. I
can't-
mean, like, from
I only
being
saw that
there.
on Twitter.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear anybody say that. I didn't hear anybody threaten to do anything to any politicians. They just wanted to get in and, cause a ruckus. They didn't burn anything. They didn't do anything like that.
Mhm.
They just kind of caused some general mayhem. And yeah, no, the people that died, that's unacceptable. But
One of
like,
them, we
most of
believe,
us
though,
were
was,
just
yes.
most of us were just, wandering around all day and talking and
Like, most of the violence certainly wasn't intentional. They were accidental.
well,
Unlike,
that or like the heart attack and the stroke. I mean, maybe it was the exertion of walking around all day, but they probably would have died anyways.
The guy falling off the scaffolding, that's just him being a dumbass.
Yeah, that's the, I said, Darwin Award. Like, that kid was just an idiot. I mean, it sucks that he died, but that's his own fault.
And if you really look at the damage, it's kind of negligible compared to the billions that the businesses lost.
Total estimate in damages is roughly $5,000.
Yeah.
I would I actually do have a final thought. If you still going, or mind if I chime in? I guess I'll chime in. So when it comes to talking about people, when it comes to the subject of critical race theory, because I think a lot of our media stems from this, is a factor of treating African Americans and minorities with kitty gloves. Mm-hmm. The assumption that white supremacy still exists to this day. When you're talking with someone who believes this, ask them to define what white supremacy is. Ask them to show their proof and their evidence of why it exists, and just understand that I think a large portion of their belief is based off past correlations. Don't necessarily mean that there's still a causation in the modern day. Mm-hmm. Sure, there's a past correlation why certain things exist to this day, but there's now different causations and different problems.
Well, if you're a conservative or a libertarian, you're considered a white supremacist. I met a whole lot of black, Latino, and Asian white supremacists that day. Then,
but when you can I you want more rational? Okay, yeah. So when you're talking to someone who believes that, like, ask them to define white supremacy, get a definition, and then try to actually hold them consistently to it. Then ask them, well, what is your definition of black supremacist? Like, why are you a white supremacist? If the reason being is anything that's capitalistic is supremacy, then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, is a black libertarian a white supremacist? Like, just try to get them to realize how absurd their thinking is, and try to get them to see all these holes. Because the thing is a lot of the holes that the foundation is based off of, like, I'm not even talking about the whole left, I'm just talking about the specific portion that is influencing media and academia. It's very... There's actually a lot of bipartisan between the left and the right, and the fact of not all the left, right? But there's a lot of bipartisan where most people would admit that critical race theory or modern social justice it's fallacious, and it's filled with a large number of holes.
And I hate to interrupt, but I have to leave early. I'm sorry.
All right, see you later, Neko.
Bye,
every
everyone.
time you have to leave early. What are you doing?
Bye.
Family.
I completely forgot about that thing.
Are you saying you have a life?
Anyways, bye.
Bye, Neko.
Bye. Have fun.
yeah, I gotta leave and go to the grocery store in a bit. So,
Traitor. We already had one leave.
hey, what?
Oh, shut the fuck up! I'm still going to be on the bottom.
Yes, you are.
Anyways, I believe, is that any other thoughts you had about the Capitol riot history at all?
Me?
You said history is disabled, right?
History.
Oh yeah. So I guess honestly, no, not so much. I mean, like, obviously I condemn the riots. It's just right now, I guess on this subject, I really just want to talk about holding the mainstream media accountable. Even in Canada, there's a lot of talk about racial injustice to black people up here in British Columbia, when there's not that many black people to talk about. There's racial injustices to lots of other minorities that actually are more common here. And it's so absurd. There's so much more racism going on to other people, whether this be white, whether this be Punjabis, or whether this be First Nations. And a big problem that stems from critical race theory. So I didn't really talk about the riots, but so the riot, I think it's dumb. I don't think it's good to riot. And I think this is also going to put, this sort of emboldens the left. When the right does something really dumb, it emboldens the right. When the left does something really bad, it emboldens the right. Basically whoever does something stupid emboldens the other side. But the thing is, something important to keep in mind is people are very frustrated. The cost of living is constantly going up. And I think one thing that the right could do is maybe articulate their moral framework a little bit better to the masses.
Won't matter.
I know, I think it does matter greatly. the
No,
ability
it
to
literally
articulate and
won't
market.
matter if the message
won't matter
doesn't
at all.
get to them.
If it what?
If the message doesn't get to them, they said.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, these are just some ideas, right? But as far as like the riots go, I part of me starting to empathize with all writers, not because I support them. I condemn them all. It's just people are frustrated. They don't know what's going on. Wealth income inequality, corruption. People don't know what a multimillionaire, billionaire can do. Like if Jeffrey Epstein could have, like, get away with what he did for so long, it makes people fucking paranoid.
Well, he's been
People
doing it since the 70s.
Yeah, but I'm just saying people are paranoid right now, and I think it's just going to get worse as time goes on.
I mean, it just comes down to every little thing there is, or more precisely, every other big thing, there is no clear answer. Like, I'm going to bring up the John F. Kennedy assassination as a good point, because it's reached beyond the threshold where the files should be made public domain.
They still won't do it.
No, that's the thing. Trump gave an executive order to make the last 14,000 files public domain. 9,000 of those files were made public domain, declassified. But then the CIA, Homeland Security, and the FBI basically did everything in their power to restrain the last 5,000 files from being released underneath the argument of it's a threat to national security.
I was going to say, what did they say? They lost them? That seems to happen a whole lot.
No. They just said it's a threat to national security. So why telling the remaining stuff on John F. Kennedy would be a threat to national security unless the government had some form of involvement?
Because they did.
Well, of course, I know. I wholeheartedly believe that the CIA killed him because, well, recently I got into a fight with a group of people because they said I was crazy for believing that the CIA would do something like this. But it's like they've been doing it
all
for
the time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They've been doing it for decades to countries, to even a smaller level politician because it threatens something of theirs in that region to a small degree. Is it too hard to believe that when there's a president with some of
Hey
the
guys,
highest
I'm going to be
approval,
gone for a moment. I'll be right back.
is the fish fighting back?
No. Close call. Almost
Are you
revealed all
bald?
of it right there.
Are you bald?
No. Just at an angle. I have plenty of hair. Trust me. I just didn't want to. I meant to click the mute button right there. Yeah, history's seen my face. He can vouch for me. I'm not bald.
Okay,
Okay,
everybody's
history,
seen my
tell
face.
us the truth. Is he bald?
I just
I'll
can't
be
get
back.
my stupid
Nope, he
camera
is-
to work.
He is not bald. He's also, by the way, Putz has also seen my face. He now knows what black people look like.
You should have said I can neither confirm nor deny.
I was going to say that.
No. You're whiter than me. The only reason why you have a black sounding voice is because you killed one.
I did not. And I do not. I still don't see how I sound black to so many people. I just really don't get it.
I've never thought that.
Well,
There is,
for whatever
what is
reason
it?
other people do. I mean, I've even gotten comments, people calling me the N-word. And like,
I'm sorry, that's kind of funny.
it's just sort of weird.
I thought you were white when I first heard you.
I am white. I mean, just like, for whatever reason,
I said he's whiter than me.
I've gotten people calling me the N-word, saying I'm a traitor to black people, and like both ends of alt-writers think I'm black. The crazy communists think I'm black, and they call me a coon, or and all that. It's just like, what in my voice sounds black to so many people? Like, I don't understand it. Now, obviously, history, and don't think so, and Demon as well. But I just, for whatever reason, I've been getting comments, many people saying that I'm black and everything.
Yeah, there's this one person I knew on Discord. Like, every year I told him I was like half black. He's like, "Oh, you're black!" Like, every year he was shocked because he kept forgetting I was. Like, Putza. I'm not white, right? I'm not pure white, right? I'm mocha, right?
I think he left for it now.
Oh shit. Whatever. Like he
The
seemed.
fish are fighting back.
Yeah, like we've chatted, and one time I turned my webcam when I was working out, and what was it? No homo, not yet. But like yeah, like I'm a pretty white sounding person, dark, half black person. But the thing is like if we're gonna talk about like people from like the thing is like something important to keep in mind is people are in the United States and Canada, even though it does happen slowly. Immigrants do slowly integrate and assimilate. Once upon a time, like the Irish were not really seen as, equal Americans. Once upon a time, Italians were.
Yeah, and treated even worse than the blacks were.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to get across here is like you're ultimately, I think people sometimes forget that you're most importantly American, and an American black guy can sound white or black, an American white guy can sound white or black. Like if, I think people are just a little bit too people judge a little quickly on stupid shit.
Anyways, did you want to add any final thoughts of yours, Z, about the whole thing? How likely you think of a civil war would be? All that?
I do unfortunately hold the belief that stuff is going to have to get a whole lot worse before anything gets better. I do believe that if you want a quick way out, certain politicians have to be gone, and I mean away from the living plane. So then probably afterwards you have to invest into something akin to Ghostbusters to ensure that they're permanently gone. Because I'm telling you, Nancy Pelosi will come back and be more annoying than ever. She will turn off your toaster. Anyways, yeah, unfortunately, there is that whole thing that it could also be just a sign of the times, in the sense that the average lifespan of a country is 250 years.
Well, it depends. Some say it's 250 years, some say it's 400, and some say it's 500.
Some say it's 1,000. You never know.
Yeah, but which countries are those exactly? Because I know that one country which supposedly lasted that long is Poland, but Poland has only truly had its freedom since
well, that's
the
because of
90s.
you guys.
No.
And the
first
Russians.
No. First it was the Russians. Then it was underneath the Prussian government.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was a part of Germany. Then World War I separated it. Then the Soviets tried to invade it. Then the whole Soviet-German pact. And then, World War II happened. And then the Soviet Union. But that's like an example of a country which is counted in the list for lasting so long, even though it hasn't been its own separate state for most of its modern history. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like... Because, I know Poland screws over a lot of that list. But if I remember correctly, the truer average number, if you will, is 250 years. And, considering that the US is now 245 years old, get ready for next election cycle.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, crap is going to get a lot worse. It already
Pelosi is still alive. Chuck Schumer is still annoying. Kumo still thinks he's a good guy. And what's the daughter of Dick Cheney called again?
Liz.
His cousin.
Or no,
Liz
that's
Cheney?
his wife.
Yeah, Liz Cheney is his wife. What is
Actually, I think they're both named Liz.
That's gonna be fucking confusing.
Well, anyways, if we don't have any other final thoughts we wanted to say, anything else you wanted to say before we go on to our next topic?
Yep. Well, I'm good. I gotta bounce. I have crap.
You're leaving?
I have to go to the store.
Fine.
Ooh, so you had disagreements with Vadim's video.
Yeah, I have, I think, a few disagreements.
Yeah, but, I thought it was a great video, so I mean, I wouldn't mind, let's chatting it out. It sounds like an interesting subject.
Or maybe you could share the image I brought before Demon goes?
No, you can send it to him anyways. Let's
boo you.
going on to the video. Are you going to be leaving now, Demon?
Yeah, just send it to me on Discord. You guys enjoy, have fun. Everybody in the chat, thank you for showing up. And I will talk to you later. All
right. Now, before we get on with the video, I would like to say that if anyone does watch The Boys or wants to watch The Boys, there might be some spoilers for you. So, if just to be warning, so there will be a spoiler warning in here. If you watch the show, if you haven't finished the show, or if you plan to watch the show, there are going to be spoilers in this. So
if you go to my Discord, I can show you. Oh shit! And if you go to my Discord, I can show you ways to get the show for free. Anyways.
Anywho, now I'm gonna say is I think he does bring up some good points. This is the Arcats, no, not Arcats. What's Creationist Cat? That was the original name of the channel, if I recall. Creationist Cat, the guy who does Creationist Cat, I think he does bring up some points, some good points. However, I think some of the things are either over-exaggerated or are not, or, partially false or only partially true.
So, I don't follow. Is this about politics, or are we talking about the show?
This is talking about how criticizing the ideas of American exceptionalism. I do think American exceptionalism, the idea is is quite heavily exaggerated. However, I do think there's good things about having that idea, though it can go too far at times. Anyways, any thoughts you would like to bring up history before we continue with the video?
I just say before we do the video, we should go through some comments.
No, let's see what do we have.
So history said be right back, so I guess he's gone. Anyways, you just find the comments, I read them out. Oh, another message? Oh, okay, apparently he's back. Okay, I think that the insert number here, years rule for how long a country survived, may be a bit outdated now with technology and the speed at which ideas travel. Yeah, that may make sense.
That could be a possibility, perhaps.
But also, you gotta understand, if we want to look at something similar to our situation, it could be considered something like one of the Balkan states during the Cold War, where no one is allowed to speak anything. Certain actions which the state approves of is almost never reported on, but then the actions of the opposition is demonized.
Anyway, since history's back, did you want to add any comments to the videos of what we're about to see before we started?
First off, I really liked the video. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Now I'm assuming Rational Outlaw
get him out of here.
I'm assuming Rational Outlaw didn't like it. Now keep in mind, I don't like everything from Vadim. I think Vadim has. I think there's certain things that he's wrong on. A lot of things, but no, actually. Yeah, by the way, Rational Outlaw, if I ever do a live stream and I'm doing a response video, would you mind if I message you if you wanted to join my channel?
Sure, but I'll have to think about it.
I'll tell you the subject. Yeah, no worries.
No, it's just mostly because, I do my videos, I do this, and I still have work I need to get done and everything.
Yeah, that's more important, right?
He's gone for most of the week, and that is annoying.
Honestly, whatever you want to talk about with Vadim's video, honestly, he is left-leaning, so he does kind of, jab on the right a bit, so I can understand how it might get on your nerves, but, are we going to talk about the video, watch it, or are we just going to,
We're going to watch hard to give some critiques and everything.
All right, I'm back, bitches.
I guess if anything...
You're still the bottom one, Putza.
I guess...
you miss me.
I guess if anything, something I can kind of I guess later I can kind of tell you a bit how I resonated a bit with this, and yeah, we can discuss it. But yeah, I'm just waiting to watch it right now.
Anyways, let's go on with it. Okay, let's skip that. Yada yada yada.
Real quick, who is this?
This is Creationist Cat.
Oh, I actually kind of like some of his videos.
Because where there's Budweiser, there's liberty. But more than anything, first and foremost, it's probably more than any other superhero-related entertainment I've ever read or seen. It's an exploration of the dangers of American exceptionalism. And so I guess that means we need to talk about... that right there.
What the fuck is going on?
Oh, I'm going to love to see
American
this one.
exceptionalism has been at the center of our nation's experience for nearly 400 years.
We don't just love America, we're in love with America.
If there's one core belief that has guided and inspired me every step of the way, it is this: the United States is an exceptional nation.
So although a whole bunch of historical figures from Thomas Paine, Jefferson, Lincoln, Alex de Tocqueville, and John Winthrop are generally credited with laying out what would one day become the bedrocks of American exceptionalist philosophy, for instance, this Winthrop sermon,
"We shall be as a city upon a hill. The eyes of all people are upon us."
and that, of course, inspired Ronald Reagan's oft-cited
Shining city upon a hill.
speech, in which he emphasized the need to
Implicitly reinforce the idea that America is special.
So I could just tell right off the bat real quick, I think he thinks the only people that think that America is exceptionalism is people on the right. Apparently the fucking Jews that thought America was pretty great and should use their exceptionalism to go counter Hitler and many other places as an example of morality were just fucking right-wing Southerners. Yeah, I can see where this is going. Go on.
Well, I would say one of the things why America would be exceptional is because it was a major trailblazer in the ideals of liberty. Obviously, it had its flaws in the beginning and everything.
Well, yeah, literally the
argue it has
French
more flaws
Revolution.
now.
Yeah, but literally the French Revolution. A lot of it, like a lot of the people, just Benjamin Franklin, helped essentially shaped how that revolution went. They used America as an exception of what they wanted to base the French Revolution off.
So mind if I give my view?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So first a little bit, I think these are just kind of like jabs. Like he showed Hillary Clinton, he showed Ronald Reagan. I don't think it's necessarily just the right that believes in American exceptionalism. Maybe a bit more, but yeah, that wasn't my first interpretation of it. I guess I may as well just lay out my foundation. So I've recently come to my conclusion that I'm not a huge fan of North America anymore. A big part of this does come down to, I hate to sound preachy, gay men's rights, alimony, divorce, like something I remember Terrence Popp said, like, I'm not a huge fan of him. He's a MGTOW content creator. When he was reading through the statistics, more men have actually come back from overseas and killed themselves because their wives are cheating on them than men that have died in the war, Middle East. I don't know if that's true, but like I have one veteran or one serving member of the United States Army in my Discord, and he actually told me from his own testimony, like, you know, he's known lots of guys that their girls cheated on them, they came back, and they just fucking off themselves. Now, the thing is, not only can she cheat on you, but she can take half your shit. Now, like, I know this sounds really whiny, but my point that I'm trying to get across here is a lot of North America, like even British Columbia, a lot of British Columbia's ads is this reinforced patriotism and nationalism. And to some extent, it's kind of good. I think nationalism, to some extent, is kind of good. But the problem is I often feel like North America is doing a pretty poor job at giving, particularly men, a reason to want to nationalistically enjoy the nation that they're in, or to take pride in it. Like, to send your boys overseas, mostly men, mostly boys, overseas to go fight in wars, to come back, just to, you know, get...
Yeah,
to lose a wife, the
I
kids,
talked about
dog, everything.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to say here is North America is
it's bound to a lot of consequences.
It could do a lot better at serving people that serve its nation, is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, we do have large programs, and people militantly love, like, trying to disrespect a soldier out in public is essentially asking for an ass beating. They do have a lot of, I think statistically, one of the largest welfare benefits or the most charities. But a big problem, and part of the reasons why it's so harsh, especially in the last 100 years, once when the great powers fell, most of rebuilding the world was up to America. For instance, in the Vietnam, the North Korea, and especially the Middle Eastern conflicts, it's been mostly America throwing itself at it.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say one more thing. Like, obviously, there's the cost of inflation. Like, this all sounds like really whiny, but the whole point of what I'm trying to say here is the cost of living the American dream to some extent, or the Canadian dream, whatever you want to call it, it has fallen out of reach for a lot of people. And then on top of that, there's a lot of debt traps. So I mean, I kind of understand why some people are. What I'm trying to say is I understand why some people feel as if North America, America, Canada, it's not very exceptional. Like even British Columbia, there's ads being run saying BC is the best place on earth to be. BC is an overpriced. It's kind of like an overpriced. It's an overpriced shithole. Like there's lots of homeless. There's junkies everywhere.
That's called false advertising. No, what I was going to quickly say was I could agree with your point that I'm a wee bit annoyed with you because what you are saying is a bit funny because in Europe our situation is a whole lot worse. Like for example, in Germany we have to deal with the state constantly comparing us to our Nazi past in the sense that it's our fault that the Holocaust happened. Yeah, I'm talking about the generations now, and simultaneously they keep increasing the taxes for lesser and lesser income, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it, but like I said, I'm not saying people don't have it worse across the world. My whole point I'm trying to get across here is a lot of people's like I haven't had time to formulate my thoughts. This is just kind of rolling off the top of my head. A big point I'm trying to get across here is people try to keep. The government is trying to inspire and keep the people where they're at, rather than actually trying to reciprocate a fair deal for their people. And a big part of it is just by telling them that this place is special. This is so special. When in reality, like Andrew Henderson says, perhaps maybe you should go where you're treated best. Because in my opinion, the state doesn't really care that much about you. Like
but that's the situation in most Western countries at this point because of the whole situation with corruption.
Well, no, it's not just that. I mean, like if in BC, if you have a vagina, there's women's shelters, all these other things. If you're a dude, like you're on the street, panhandling with your head down and your hands up, like. Z Commander. Once again, I'm not trying to. Once again, I'm not saying Germany doesn't have it worse or anything, and I'm also not trying to say like, oh, woe is me, this place is so terrible. I'm just saying, a big portion of like national marketing to sort of keep people where they're at isn't really necessarily to try and provide the best service that the nation can provide. Or
yeah, of course. Like I said, that's false advertising. Like as of some years ago, there's officially the term. There's 3 different versions of the terms, if you want, which it's not really culture shock, but its nicknames are the San Francisco shock or the Paris shock or even the London shock, which is experienced by people who went to these places and their only perception of the places are through the advertisements that the city has made.
I mean, like, I may have over-exaggerated.
And San Francisco is pretty bad because one of the best Yelp reviews that was used for a study was literally titled, "Why is there shit everywhere?" And then that's when you
I think an important thing. God.
I was just going to finish. And then when you find out that, like, on the San Francisco tourism page, they're still using only images of San Francisco from the early 90s.
Yeah.
They refuse to put any modern pictures.
What? The billboards?
Billboards, website images, etc. It's all stuff from the early 90s still.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an important thing to actually define what American exceptionalism is. Like, for instance, somebody who's middle class and isn't really suffering the bureaucratic nightmares of the cities or have very stable families who are riding the tailgates of essentially the golden age of America aren't going to have the same harsh view towards America. And another thing is, a lot of a good way to make a look at American exceptionalism is to look at it through a very historical lens. If you would actually take every single empire that has ever existed, if it wasn't for America, would it be possible to have our freedoms? Like with everything else, if you look at Rome, Soviet Union, Germany, both of them, to achieve wealth and prosperity, and essentially of inspiring nations to actually go forth and achieve something, or to keep a stable government. If it wasn't for America being an historical exception, our liberal Western world wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
it's not, we're not in any metric perfect. And I don't think that American exceptionalism is based off the perfect idea, but more off of what it has achieved and what people strive for it to be.
Oh yeah, and I think it's also the idea of wanting to improve America. I think that's like the idea. They believe America is special, but it's not that they don't see the problems in America, but they want to improve upon it.
I mean, Ronald Reagan was a really good influence in Europe.
Yeah, remember that Miss Me speech?
By the way, Z Commander, when you were talking, somebody in the real world was making a lot of noise. So I didn't really hear all that. Some of the stuff you were saying.
Okay, I'm guessing the other noise bit was Putza over here.
No, someone in real life.
Oh, I'm not real? I'm part of the Matrix?
He's imaginary.
Okay, what did you think you missed so I can just quickly recap it?
So the idea that America is exceptional based off of its accomplishments, I can agree with, which Rational Outlaw and Putza said. So basically, I kind of tuned in when Putza started talking. I'm sorry I tuned out. It's just certain people in my family, I just can't shut up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Z doesn't have a sexy voice like mine, so...
Oh, fuck you.
So Putza, with all due respect, Z Commander... So from a man who's not straight, Z Commander does have a sexier voice than you.
Oh, fuck.
There is a video out there somewhere in the internet, I'm not gonna say where, of me reading 2 lines of 50 Shades of Grey for fun.
Oh God.
No, it's from the internet. I didn't pay the book for anything. It's just something from the internet because it's fucking retarded, the description. And then it's like if you genuinely read more than a paragraph of the book, you'll realize this all sounds familiar. And then when you find the interview where the author just basically said, yeah, it started as Twilight fan fiction. Yep, that makes sense.
Z Commander, so if you want to recap some of the stuff you were saying.
Yeah, you just have to give me a frame point as to where to start with the recap.
I guess honestly, I'll just state this. I think Canada, like British Columbia, it's exceptional because we have a beautiful environment. There's exceptional things about BC. We have an amazing place to cast movies. There's mountains, there's skiing, there's all these things you can do, but at the same time, it is overpriced. Lots of homeless people. Shit isn't everywhere. But there are a lot of fucking junkies shooting up all over the fucking place.
That's standard with every other Western city. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's probably not as bad as San Francisco from what I've heard, but it's
no place is as bad as San Francisco.
Yeah.
A study last year has found, not last year, 2019 when we could actually go outside, found that decent portions of the city of San Francisco are living in worse conditions than in India.
Goddamn. So I mean,
and I lived in India, and I lived nearby to a part of India where the river was just black slime, and I do not want to describe the smell.
Hey, look, Putza, you're no longer the bottom bitch.
Oh.
So wait, Rational Outlaw. Sorry, Z Commander, are you the guy who I talked to a few years ago who lived in India who wanted to get out?
Was it on where was it?
Rational Outlaw.
On the stream.
Yeah. So I guess, but actually, I want to digress. So basically, in short, BC has some exceptional things about it, but the problem is the housing market. Just as an example, the housing market is insane, and particularly a big portion of a problem with our housing market is foreign buyers, jacking up the prices. China. But it's not just China, it's also foreign, national, international. So this would be India, China, Hong Kong, wherever, blah, 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 blah.
But the biggest one, which I know has fallen underneath controversy,
is China.
Was Chinese businesses, because officially, according to Canadian law, the CCP cannot own property in Canada. However, for the past 5 years, conveniently, certain businesses that have bought up large swathes of land across Canada just recently happened to be partially owned by the CCP. And I remember that there was this huge controversy that in one small region where one company owns the majority of living space over there, like apartment buildings, they just don't allow people to live inside them. And of course, the company is now owned by the CCP officially.
I mean, like Canada's basically owned by China. Justin Trudeau. So I'm gonna put a meme in Rational Outlaw's Discord room for memes. It basically describes what's happening right now with Canada. But something I want to just say really quick here is I often feel as if North American exceptionalism, whether this be the United States or Canada, it's almost like this red herring from real world problems. It's almost convincing people that this is the place that they should be, even if it's not the best place in their own personal interest.
I have
just
to
in their
say,
interest in general. And it's I don't know. It that's just my personal perspective of it. It's
I guess it just depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, because in my opinion, the way that America portrayed itself in the past encouraged places like Europe, India, even Japan to improve their own situation, to more look at the United States as an example.
Yeah, I'm not
I
saying...
more see it in the last 15 years, mainly from people like Nancy Pelosi, encouraging the concept that people should move over there, just like of how since 2014 Merkel has constantly been trying to encourage people, or just basically the greater EU just encouraging that, no, we shouldn't try to teach Africans how to build a functioning society. We should just shove the entire continent of Africa into Europe, even though Africa is literally the largest land space on the planet.
Anyways,
okay,
I think we've talked enough on this part. I would like to get the main parts of the video in. So
yeah, sure.
Okay.
My main contention, I think I'm using that word correctly,
Yes.
is mostly with this list he gives here as to where the U.S. ranks in certain things.
Oh, damn it.
Pardon?
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
So, for example, let's go off with the U.S. ranking 15 out of 80 countries in the Quality of Life survey. So, if I recall, I'm pretty sure the quality of life in the United States is really good. The only problem is the fact that we're very obese.
Yeah.
And healthcare.
No, our healthcare is fine. It's just, it's
unless you're diabetic, and a good portion of the U.S. is diabetic.
No, that's because they're obese.
Yeah.
But that is the main problem, is that the U.S. is very obese and very fat compared to other Western countries.
I don't know.
Don't worry, Britain is catching up.
Yeah, Britain is catching up. I think that's probably because we are a certain motherland, and we're 5 times bigger than hers. So it might be a bit culture. Nobody's considering that.
Yeah, by the way, ZK Amanda, I'm not going to try and deny that the United States hasn't had positive influence over the world as far as liberty goes, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah.
Well, we're dropping that history. No, we're just going
No, I don't deny that you didn't say that. No, what I was trying to say is that the way that you explained it kind of implied that they never did that. But anyways, we're done with it.
No. I'm just referring to how exceptionalism affects the domestic population, not globally. But yeah, so I honestly I never really thought of it from a I didn't think of it too much from a global standpoint.
Yeah.
But let's continue. Sorry.
Anyways,
Rational.
the next thing, obviously, I have a problem with is the press freedom ranking from Reporters Without Borders, which is absolute bullshit because they think that just Trump being elected brought us down in press ranking.
Well,
so they're not a reliable source to use.
I'm about to say, it sounds like it's a biased source to begin with, just from the title alone. So,
well,
So, yeah.
I can say from first-hand experience of seeing what's happened in Europe, where basically, are you a reporter who dare goes against the status quo? Good luck reporting, because we can arrest you for hate speech.
So yeah, the U.S. is probably at least ranked in the top 5, I would say, of press freedom ranking, if not the top one with press ranking, considering how much we give advantages to the press compared to other people. Now, for the education system, I really can't say on that. I think I really not exactly sure.
That's just mostly, in my opinion, just due to the fact that so many people are under a very corrupt, bureaucratic educational system. If you look at Germany and Japan that have, mostly privatized educational systems, they do a lot better than us. But a lot of America's problems could be summed up that it's one country that's nearly the size of Europe. with all the industrialized problems, political upheaval, all the shit that the world's ever been thrown to us, it comes and it whips back at America at some point.
Yeah, but it also is relative, because what's the success rate in the US education system? Because I know it's a shit ton higher than Sweden, and I know that in this one, Sweden ranks higher on the education systems than the US.
Well, the funny thing is, too, like, good education doesn't mean you're going to do well in life in general. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you know how to apply that productively. Because you can have an idiot run a car shop and be perfectly fine. The thing about America, though, is you have better opportunity to open your own business and progress through your own means and intelligence.
And that, I think, leads into the social mobility which the World Economic Forum brings in, which I think was not a flawed system of how social mobility is calculated, if I recall. Does anyone
I wouldn't trust anything from the World Economic Forum. It is run by just a bunch of elitists, and previous studies that they've done have basically, you just throw them out because there was no actual study done. It was just what their bias says.
And now, what were you saying, history?
Don't you have some sort of degree in economics, by the way, Rational?
No, I do not. I have a marketing degree. So.
Oh, okay. So,
he's the guy who will convince you to pay terrible insurance rates.
So, did you actually take any economic courses in your marketing class?
Yes, but I'm not very good at I know the basic economics. I can explain that, but if you're going to ask me to explain very in detail of economics, I cannot help you.
So I'm not super educated on economics, but honestly, so if you disliked it because of this graph or just any of Vadim's sources, I wouldn't blame you, because I'll be very straightforward. Vadim is a bit of a cunt. Like, I've seen his cuntiness when it comes to, like, Star Wars.
Well, Boris keeps complaining about him.
Yeah. Vadim is a bit of a cunt. Can't blame you there. But one of my biggest problems, I wanted to bring this up as well. This is relevant, but it's where it comes down to, like, matter of opinion. Like, a lot of people say the Nordic country. A lot of people say the Nordic countries are the happiest countries in the world. When I was watching, there's one MGTOW content creator named Tyler, the Traveling Viking. He actually argued that there's a possibility happiness might be lost in translation, and I had a suspicion of it, but I never really thought too much about it. Like, so for example, if I bring up a study of, like, all the happiest countries in the world, well, number one, how do you measure happiness? Number two, how do you ask it? What is the translations in every different nation? So, like, it's kind of like, oh, well, the most freest country in the world. Well, how do you measure freedom? Like, and whose value of freedom? Like, and this is, like, a really bad problem, is because not everyone is able to non-biasly analyze different things. Like, I think, there's like, it's very hard to find a far right or far left person who can try and non-biasly analyze freedoms, and this is just, like, the hard problem, and it's very hard for, like, somebody to ask these questions, like, and then measure it. Like, you might laugh, but I'm just saying, like, someone might see the United States is more free. Someone might think, oh, well, Norway's universal healthcare is more free. So it's like,
I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at Roy's latest comment. Outlaw knows how to convince people who haven't taken an economics class. No offense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I guess what I'm trying to say here is, like, the idea of, like, which country is more free, you really have to pay attention to how they did the study, or else it's kind of meaningless. And same thing, like, the whole happiness study. Because, like, from what I've seen from at least most forums and, YouTubers, like, a lot of people in Norway, Finland, Sweden, a lot of them don't get a lot of sun. A lot of them are depressed. So this idea that they're all happy is...
Actually, I think the most reliable study that finds it, because the European Union keeps using it, and to be fair, it's fairly reliable on the happiness scale, is, according to Europe, the happiest country within Europe is Finland. And honestly, I can kind of say that, because the only Finnish person I've met was fairly happy, and they got fairly good teens. There's very limitation on guns and personal liberties over there. The only issue that they've really had in the past few years is the migrant crisis and the political double standard on it.
Well, I'm trying not to digress here, but my point that I'm trying to make is, you ask everyone if they're happy. Okay, let's say if you ask everyone they're happy, and if in one nation 80% of people say they're happy, but 30% of them are on antidepressants. And in another nation, 60% of them say they're not. 60% of them say they're happy, but nobody's on antidepressants. Like, do you see the problem I'm trying to get at here? It's like, it's also these questions when you're just asking people their opinion. My point is you have to really pay attention to how they do the study. That's really
Yeah, that's another.
And I'm not saying they're not happy, because like they have in Finland they have a right where you could literally go and camp out anywhere you want in any forest.
Oh, that sounds
beautiful.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Now, anyways, let's go on to the next one after social mobility, which will be number 5. The ranking of healthcare, saying that the U.S. is ranked 27th. I have also problems with that because that's often going into the cost of healthcare, which you can't quite fully. You shouldn't put a huge leaning on cost of healthcare. Yes, U.S. healthcare is the most expensive in the world. However, it is one of the best healthcare systems because we are able to get treatments for everything much faster than any other country, pretty much.
Not only that, but we're also able to innovate a lot quicker than everybody else.
Yeah, so most of the innovations in the healthcare industry are happening in the United States. The most amount of new medications are made in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You go, sorry.
Anyways, that was my main contention with the healthcare thing. The other thing is that, yes, there's a healthcare debt thing, and healthcare is expensive. However, they can't just oh, you can't pay for this immediate surgery. Well, we can't treat you. No, that's not going to happen with a doctor's office.
Yeah.
They'll still treat you. You'll just be in debt.
Yeah.
Just in debt. And then looking at one of our friends who tried to kill himself and then wound up being $66,000 in debt.
Yeah. I'm not saying there aren't problems with the healthcare system at all. I mean, I think the healthcare system is way too overregulated, and that's the main reason why it's so expensive in the United States is because it's way overregulated, and it keeps out competition between different hospitals and the healthcare industry and everything.
Yeah, but it's also, in my opinion, as to why there are some severe problems with healthcare. It's also because of the how would I say this? The corporate ability to get away with things. Because I did not know this until I watched a video a couple of weeks ago. It turns out that until 2013, officially, every human being alive on the planet was owned by 13 corporations.
Holy crap.
Now, what do I mean by this? Because these 13 corporations patented every other genetic sequence discovery of the human genome and stopped any research on it. For example, I forgot what was her name, but the one who discovered a gene that was linked between breast cancer and breast development.
Mm-hmm.
She discovered this close to 20 years ago, and basically, if she continued research, she could have made a massive breakthrough in basically some way of solving breast cancer in an easier manner. But no, once she published her first paper making her official discovery, 2 weeks later she got a cease and desist because I forgot what was the medical company patented the gene, and she couldn't study it anymore. And this has happened until Congress decided that that this is basically illegal and inhumane, and also the World Health Organization decided to put an international law in place for that. But because of that, it caused these corporations to look at a loophole, and the loophole that they found was something like insulin, where those genetic codes that they discovered, they could be used again to make human insulin, because that's what we use, and artificially hike up the price. And I did not know this, but apparently insulin is super, super easy to make, to the point that what the fuck did I just say? To the point where a university lab can actually produce insulin just for $7 a bottle.
Well, yes, it's very easy to make. It's way overpriced and everything.
Right.
And same thing with EpiPens is way overpriced because there's a monopoly on the EpiPens.
Right.
So
it's not just a monopoly. It's also the whole thing that they just artificially hike up the price. It's the same thing with diamonds
hike up the price.
and also graphics cards. Yes, I'm comparing EpiPens to graphics cards because it's the same fucking issue.
Rational Outlaw, could you do me a favor? And Roy sort of had a question for me. Could you like put that up on the screen real quick? And I would like to respond. Yeah. So I'm gonna try and explain Canada's healthcare system really simply. Now I don't understand the healthcare system perfectly, but I'll try to understand what I do understand, which may be wrong. So here I go. So basically, a part of it mostly it's provincially organized. So the federal province does fund a bit of it, but it's mostly done through the provinces. So if the federal government just decided to all suddenly stop taxing everybody completely almost, the province's healthcare system would still be running. So each province is going to be different, right? And certain provinces might be faster than others. So let's say if I want to go to the hospital today, I'm going to be waiting anywhere between an hour to two to at most I've waited was like 12 or 14 hours, which is pretty terrible. But you know, I don't really. It's affordable. If like in BC, it's the policies have changed back and forth depending on the party. Like my healthcare cost at the beginning of the year would be between $100 or 1,000, somewhere between $100 and $500. That covers like doctor visits and hospital visits. It doesn't cover dental, chiropractic, massage therapy. Now, something also it does cover like some aspect of like if you go to the mental hospital. Now, one of the big problems in Canada is wait times for surgeries. Now, this is a huge problem, and our healthcare system is kind of falling to shit. Now, that's not to say I might agree with Rash Outlaw or some of the other people here. I'm actually not for I'm for universal healthcare. I'm just not for a socialized healthcare. So right now, basically, if you want to get a surgery, you could be waiting. The average wait time is probably a few months, but some people have to wait 6 months. Some people have to wait a year. Probably most people I know have to wait between 5 to 6 months to get a surgery. One time when I was a kid, to go see like a therapist, I had to wait 6 months.
Jesus.
Which, hey, was fine because it was paid for to some extent, but the doctor forgot to do it. So it took another 6 months. And like I had a really shitty doctor. The doctor kind of just...
Well, it has to be shitty if they forgot a patient.
No. This guy was really... This guy, you have no idea. One of my friends had him as a family doctor, and this guy almost bit the dust. But the point that I'm trying to get across here as well... when it comes to the Canadian healthcare system, some people do actually die waiting for their surgeries, but it depends. But I wanted to re-clarify. This really also depends on the province you live in, because Canada's a large place and each province is going to do it differently. So this is why you're going to hear incoherent statements. Like some people will say, "Oh, to go see a doctor, it took me all day" or something. Like for me, generally going to see just like a doctor, a walk-in clinic. That doesn't take too long, or there's some places where you set up appointments.
Yeah, because
so I mean, So hold up. So like a walk-in clinic, normally it just took me like a half an hour, 2 hours, like just to see a doctor. This isn't a hospital. Like so, what I referred to first was hospital, like a walk-in clinic, very quickly. Now let's say if I had if I got shot, I'd be treated in the hospital right away. But I've never gone to the hospital because I've been shot or something really severe happened. So, like, a lot of people think that if you've been shot, you have to wait 12 hours. No. It's like if you go to the hospital and you're sick and you just want to see a doctor, or you go to the hospital, you broke your foot, then, well, yeah, you're going to have to wait a little while. So, it depends on the severity. So, I hope that answers your question.
Anyways, as I was saying, we were going to be saying about the healthcare system, I feel that it would be ranked a lot higher than 27th. If we were to take out the healthcare cost aspect.
What I was going to say... sorry. What's that rubbing noise?
I don't know. What were you saying, Z?
Are you rubbing something? Are you
I'm
drawing
not rubbing nothing. I was doodling something, so let me fix my audio
Okay,
here.
so drawing. Anyways. No, what I was about to say, the only visual thing or any video thing that I've seen on Canada's healthcare was from Steven Crowder, because as we know, Steven Crowder is born in Canada, moved to the US, but he also has, let's say, a bone to pick with Canada's healthcare because basically they denied his grandmother cancer treatment, so she died. I don't remember which province this was in, but to just give an idea, he went back to his local place to just get a checkup. It took them 6 hours to get a checkup. And for 4 out of those 6 hours, a guy came in, just a short while after they came in. Now, the video had to be blurred, but the guy had an axe in his shoulder.
Holy crap.
Because of an accident, and he was waiting in there for 4 hours before someone went to check on him.
So, to give you just an example, I've lived in BC my whole life, and I've never ever once seen anything like that, nor have I ever heard of anything like that. If you have something severe like that, like something's in your body, you'll be treated immediately. Steven Crowder, I think he went up to Quebec, and
Maybe.
Quebec is. Yeah, so no, I'm pretty sure it's Quebec. So I mean, like, that's their medical system and how they set it up. So
I understand it's state-wise. I'm just giving you the example of what.
Yeah, I know.
I can say that I've seen.
Just keep in mind everything I'm talking about, like my experiences. It's all from British Columbia. It's not from Alberta, not from Nova Scotia. So.
Well, yeah, so there's probably going to be obvious differences between them because some probably are going to be run a bit better than others.
Yeah, also keep in mind Quebec, like I'm not trying to shit on Quebec, but Quebec kind of is, apparently, from what I've heard and what I've been told, Quebec is also one of the most corrupt provinces of them all.
Oh.
It's sort of a stereotype. Quebec isn't really known for being efficient. In fact, Quebec's economy is doing a bit better, but a big part of it is the fact that they get massive amount of subsidies from all around Canada. So Quebec is...
to be fair, in Steven Crowder's video, he also went to an official government advisory thing to be advised on what to do with Canada's healthcare, in the region's healthcare for issues. And the advisor just told him, just go for private healthcare.
Yeah, but this is also so one of the things too when he went for healthcare is they asked for his care card. So this is actually the biggest issue I have with Steven Crowder's video is the care card. The care card is actually a very great tool that we use to make sure that you don't have allergies. So if they can't give you drugs because they have to know if you're allergic, because they can punch your care card in and they can see your allergies, your past surgeries. So if they don't have your care card, they won't give you drugs. So Steven Crowder just wanted to go in there and get drugs when they won't do that to you because then they're legally at fault. So like that's one of the other bones I had to pick with Steven Crowder's video.
Yeah, but he wasn't there to get drugs. He was there for a checkup.
No, actually, yeah,
He's done several videos on Canada's healthcare.
Yeah, you still need a care card. Yeah, but this is our healthcare isn't for people who just came up from the United States. It's for people that are mainly here in Canada, so the residents and the citizens, and yeah, refugees, whatever. But it's for people that are registered in our system. It's not for you have to have your
I think
have
we've
your
been
care
talking
card.
about the Canadian healthcare system for way too long. We're mostly going way off topic, which is strictly about
sorry about that.
criticisms of maybe the video. So why don't we go on to the next point, which would be number 6, is freedom of religion, which he says here is guaranteed in dozens of countries, which dozens... That's still pretty unique, considering the fact he only says dozens, and there's over 200 countries in the entire world.
Plus the fact that the United States was one of the first ones to do it in the first place.
Yes. So yeah, that's
not really much for it.
Now for number 7, way too many botched foreign wars with significant civilian casualties. Well, it's more that the politicians didn't want to continue fighting it. For example, the Vietnam War, we could have won. However, politicians don't want to continue it. Same thing with the Korean War. We could have won. Politicians do not want to continue it.
No. The Korean War was also an issue with resources.
There was that,
and there was also the partial issue that it was technically not the United States fighting. It was the U.S. Army UN division that was also fighting. So if I remember correctly, And also because Stalin was also involved in the whole thing. So if I understood it, if I remember it correctly, if the United States got fully involved with Korea, then Stalin might also get fully involved, and that's talking about a potential of a war between the Soviet Union and the United States. And that's not something anyone wants during the Cold War, especially a war with Stalin.
Now, as for civilians getting killed, well, actually, more people died when we left. More civilians died because we did not finish the war, or in, like, for example, Vietnam, than the people getting killed during the war when we were there. Like, 2 million people were killed after the United States dropped all its support for South Vietnam. 2 million people were killed. And so, and I'm sure if the U.S. dropped out completely out of South Korea, probably millions more people would have died. I would assume as well. Probably. Large portion of it probably would be from starvation, but also intentional murder, I would assume as well.
Actually, there is an ironic situation because when the Korean War came to an end and each side of the country began to rebuild itself, North Korea was the better one. Like, South Korea was the one with the starving situation and people below the poverty line and, rampant disease. And North Korea was the one where we have technology, we have food, we have resources, and then, communism happened.
Somebody made a really good point to me a little while ago. If the U.S. didn't get involved, especially the Middle Eastern countries, who probably would? China and Russia. Yep. And since they don't have massive censorship or democracy, anything like us, they probably wouldn't have been nearly as affected. And they would essentially seize most of these Middle Eastern countries. But who the hell knows what's going to happen since we're not pulling out?
Now, I'm going to say is that I'm not going to say that we should have necessarily been in the wars. All I'm saying is that if we were to go off of what would have been better for those countries, what is actually us being there would be better strictly for the countries themselves.
Yeah. Well, what I'm just trying to say is these decisions weren't completely without its merit, and B, we didn't have quite the same mindset at the time. Like 9/11 just happened, 2 or 3 years ago? So, I don't know. Just one thing I'm just kind of really pissed off is, especially with NATO, I think that the U.S. just does the majority of what other countries maybe should be doing.
Pretty much, yeah. Because NATO was supposed to be like a joint effort to
but then y'all are like spending a shit ton of money on NATO, and European countries keep bitching about how much they spend on NATO, even though it's a super small portion. I think like Merkel complained about how much we pay for NATO, and it's like 2.2% of our GDP, and that is so much more less than what the US is spending.
Yep.
But also, you can't lie, the United States has also kind of gotten a slightly bad reputation with NATO because the last interaction the US had with NATO was underneath Barack Obama and dragging us all into fucking Libya, and that ruined Italy's economy. There's a reason why Italians hate Obama.
Anyways,
and it's not because
there's a reason why most people hate Obama at this point. So,
anyways, now let's go on to number 8, which is has advocated and implemented torture. Which, quite frankly, what country has not implemented torture in their history?
Agreed. Name a country that's perfect. Wait.
Now, number 4. Worst. Who
you mean
left?
9?
Sorry, I read that as 4th. Who left? Puts, I guess, had something. He probably has internet problems, I'm assuming. So we'll just continue.
Hey,
on.
it's gonna be the bottom again when he returns, if he returns.
So number 9 is 4th worst country in the world for income inequality, which is superfluous. Income inequality
What ask what that even means.
I'm just going to say this is income inequality is pretty much a worthless thing to say. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect anyone really in a greater sense. Like, I don't care how much Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or if what is the other rich CEO?
Sundar Pichai?
No, I'm thinking of Bill Gates. That's right. I don't care how much money they have. I really don't. I could give 2 shits about how much.
Shit, I'm at the bottom again.
It's back on the bottom.
Anyways, I could give 2 shits as to how much they are making. What I care is about how much I'm making. If
Right.
I'm making a good living, I'm fine. I don't give a shit about what other people are making so much. I just care about how
Until
much
you
I'm
realize
making.
what car they're driving in and you want it.
I might be jealous at sometimes with some people, like, man, I wish I could have that much money. But for the most part, I really don't care, and it really doesn't matter about income inequality. Income
the lottery, give
inequality is
yourself
a superfluous term.
Clearing.
In the grand scheme of things, it's a superfluous term because there are countries with great with very little income inequality, and they live in dirt shit poor countries.
North Korea, anyone?
So yeah, income inequality is a worthless measurement of quality
Pakistan?
of life and everything.
India?
I would. No, India is better than Pakistan, although India is
Fair.
still pretty low on that list.
Anyways, let's go on to the next one. Although the U.S. played a significant role in World War II, most fighting was done by the Soviets. I don't even know why this is even brought up.
This is.
I mean, that's a very terrifying. I guess we could have just left the Soviets to annex the rest of Europe.
Yeah, but also it's very misleading.
Yep.
Because without the U.S. bombing campaign, which still was fairly shit considering how many civilians it killed, but there was nothing really better at the time. Without the U.S. bombing campaign on German factories, because basically with the Soviet Union, it was one massive ground war. The Soviets didn't have the Navy to take out what the Kriegsmarine had in the North Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
The Soviets had no real long-range bombers that could actually do any damage against Germany. I mean, they had frontline bombers, and the only real long-range bomber they had was severely underpowered, so more often than not, it couldn't actually fly above flak level, so it was doomed.
Well, not only that, but sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
And with the mostly ground war aspect, if Germany wasn't suffering the extended supply issues that the US caused, they could potentially, because there's an interesting movie out there called Fatherland. It takes place in 1960 in a world where the Nazis won. And the reason why the film is interesting is because it's a political drama, because this is a world where the Holocaust was entirely covered up, and Hitler for 1960 is trying to convince Kennedy Sr. to give his aid, because this is now when the Nazis are starting to open Germania, the whole conquered continent, and is trying to convince the Americans to help Nazi Germany in their ongoing war with the Soviet Union, because it's turned into a stalemate since World War II.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, sadly I can't find any good quality of the film, but I've seen it. It's good. It's interesting. I think one of the more interesting aspects is because you follow the story of an SS officer, because, the SS were supposed to replace the police, and he fought more of a peaceful version of the war, and he just acts like any other regular police officer, and he slowly has his beliefs shattered by what he's finding out, because just think about it. What happens if we never discovered the Holocaust, and what we believe in is basically that Hitler had them all moved to the eastern region,
Madagascar,
which then the Soviets attacked.
Yeah. But not only that, but the people forget about the merchant marines that were basically supplying the Allied forces, I think like a few years before the war, or during the early parts of the war, from like 1939 to 45. Plus, we also helped rebuild Germany, or at least West Germany.
Yeah, but that was also after multiple years of failure, because
That's
no
true.
offense, the United States did basically y'all did what y'all did in Iraq, except worse in Germany, because one of the dumbest campaigns that the Americans in the US did was basically what would be the Red Scare, or the whole thing of guilty before proven innocent, where they mass incarcerated civilians who were suspected of being Nazi sympathizers, and it really didn't help the image, and people like my grandmother still don't trust Americans, because despite the fact that she went through the war fairly easy, I mean, her city was only bombed once, most of the city wasn't destroyed, she did have most of her teens stolen by the Americans, and where she currently lives, there is also an American base, and U.S. base in Ansbach, unfortunately, has fallen under some controversy recently because they tried to steal property.
Really?
They tried, and that's the issue. Like, the Air Force base near me, they're good. They don't bother us. Once a year, we have a festival gathering over there for U.S.-German relations. It's fun. You get drunk. It's never good to get drunk on the airfield, but it happens.
Well, another thing he didn't mention anything about Japan.
Yeah.
That was mostly America. They were just nearly as genocidal. They fucking slaughtered 25 million people. And
I will argue that the Japanese are worse than the Germans.
Yeah.
Because one thing that the Japanese still deny now, a decent population, because one of the more messed up things is that POW officers, or whatever they're called, the ones who take care of the camps, they had this game, if you will, where they see if you can decapitate a certain number of American POWs in a given time period with your katana. And they had this on newspapers, reporting it as if it was basketball for an equivalent. So yeah, I will still say the Japanese are worse than the Germans in that situation. But of course they got scot-free because they got bombed. And of course we see 12 over there, Hiroshima. Yeah, I'm going to explain that situation later.
It is exceptional.
I will end this and my comments by answering Roy's comment over here. She went through the war easy. Her city only got bombed once. Yes. No. She was fairly lucky. Regensburg was only bombed in the east sector, and even then, not really that many people's lives were lost. The city was basically left unscathed. Yeah, it was just a small factory complex that they targeted. The irony is, however, for a week ago, or not a week ago, fuck, I'm getting my words mixed up. For a week, when I was going to the B1 course,
is someone whispering?
Who the fuck is whispering? That
Maybe
fucking
this
creepy.
time.
That's the voices in my head. They're starting to rub off.
Yeah, that was fucking creepy.
Terrifying.
Well, anyways, I think we've gone way off course because I
just want to finish this. I just wanted to make a stupid joke. My fucking bus line to school got disrupted because a fucking American bomb was found in the middle of the road because my school just so happened to be built where the old factories were.
Anyways, let's go on to the next point, which is number 11, the ranked 35th in for raising family, which I don't know how you measure that exactly. Like, what is...
At which point does father go for a pack of cigarettes and hasn't been back for 28 years?
Anyways, as far as raising families go...
I'm still waiting.
If they're talking about the fact that there's only single-parent households, that's mostly predominantly within the black community and also the Hispanic community, which... that's the main problem there, the only one-parent family households. As far as everyone else, it's pretty much fine. I mean, it's...
Fissens has something on number 11.
Yes.
So,
okay, we have here.
For number 11, it's because of how the establishment government has been trying to convince children to obey them for their family. Very 1984-esque, what?
I think I see what he's saying. He's saying the measurements based on how the establishment government, how well the children listen to the government over their parents. That's the idea I'm getting. Yeah.
I could honestly see that considering Britain.
So it's about like whether we tell our children to listen to the government or not, and that we're ranked 35th at we're not good enough at telling kids to listen to the government. Is that what?
That's what I'm getting, yeah.
Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
Yeah, the economic cooperation part is what has me going, I think they're full of crap.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if that's the case, then I'd be glad to be ranked at least 35th.
How come we're not lower?
Anyways, the next one is number 12, is Hiroshima, I don't even know why he doesn't say Hiroshima and Nagasaki because
he's racist. We can accuse him of
Really?
this because we're on the internet.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, although yes, there are some possible things which say that might not have been necessary. However, majority evidence seems to show that Hiroshima and Nagasaki were a necessary evil in the sense of ending the war with the least amount of death on both sides.
Because the other option was a mainland invasion of Japan, and that would have been much more devastating than
yes, and considering how goddamn suicidal the Japanese population was, that was a likability. Like, these fuckers were starved to death nearly, most of their infrastructure gone, and the emperor himself had to convince the people. Like, if you ever see Grave of the Fireflies, the kid was still going to willingly die for the emperor, even with all the shit that was happening to him.
Yeah, but that's also because the army was still trying to keep control of everything. I mean, hell,
could you imagine if the emperor...
One of the funniest things to keep in mind was the Battle of Midway. Because what the emperor was told was it was a success. We did lose our carriers. We're not fucked.
Well, they didn't want him to surrender because if you know anything about Japanese culture, Bushido, surrender is like one of the worst things you can do to you and your family. So they wanted to keep the idea of Bushido in all their soldiers' heads to keep them fighting until the literal last person on Japan. Hell, there was even a section in Okinawa called. You ever heard of the Suicide Cliffs?
Yes.
Yeah. So instead of surrendering, they just ran off a cliff. Just like, wait, whoa, why?
Well, they do that. They also do that. If you want the Suicide Bridge, you look at San Francisco. If you look at the Suicide Forest, that's Japan again.
Yep.
I'm now trying to see if there's a suicide mine.
I don't know.
For some weird reason, I suspect that's Russia.
Did you ever see the episode of South Park where there's a Chinese guy and the Japanese guy, and the Chinese guy was ragging on the Chinese guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, was it? Oh no!
I know exactly.
Oh no! I got a bad test grade. I'm Japanese. I guess I'll go kill myself. And the Japanese guy's like, "Oh, fuck you!"
Anyways, the next one we have here after Hiroshima, because since that was obviously, we believe, is justified to why it happened. Now, for number 13, ranked 15th is actually, he's got it wrong here. It's not the Human Freedom Index. It's actually the Economic Freedom Index. I believe it was the name. Economic Freedom Index. So it's not the Human Freedom Index from the Heritage Foundation, which I do have criticisms of the Heritage Foundation, which actually I'm quite surprised, though, he did include the Heritage Foundation in it. But yes, the Heritage Foundation currently ranks the U.S. 17th. However, I think there are problems with it because the Cato Institute comes to a completely different conclusion on economic freedom. It comes to that the U.S. is ranked like 5th on the economic freedom, which would make more sense considering the fact that we have far lower taxes compared to many other Western countries, and the fact that all the Western countries spend enormous amounts, so there's a huge amount of government spending. And as far as business freedom, labor freedom, how would you compare, Val, which you think of the business freedom and labor freedom, for example, in the United Kingdom, for example?
Well, the United Kingdom is rated 7 on the Economic Freedom Index because I'm currently on the website. I would say bullshit. The Germany is 27th. That sounds about right. Government spending is super down. Fiscal health is 92.9. What the fuck? Property rights 8.5. Yes, because we don't own property over here. We aren't even allowed to make property. Hence why we have a housing crisis.
Could you bring up Pedro's recent comment?
What is it? The ranking for tests is not a good measure. We need to go away from the Prussian education model we're using. It's a really bad model.
I'm not exactly sure what he means here.
Prussian. But we've been suspicious of that. Old-fashioned, maybe.
anyways, I think I have problems with it because ever since I found the Cato Institute economic freedom measuring, although I don't trust the Cato Institute on other things, on economics, I think they're relatively good for that because it makes more sense because they ranked around the U.S. around the 5th in the top 10, which makes more sense because one of the top 10 the places that they ranked originally was, for example, not Taiwan.
What the fuck is this bullshit?
Hong
Apparently, according to I have to say this quickly so I can get it out of my system. According to the Heritage Foundation, the U.S. is more of a tax burden than fucking Germany. That is a complete bullshit face lie.
Oh yeah, wait. According to the
Heritage Foundation.
Well, if Biden decides to go through with his dumbass tax plan, it won't be true. Won't be untrue anymore.
Well, I think it
Probably.
would be. I think it is heavily false because in the sense that the U.S. people on the U.S. averagely make far more money than people in Germany.
Yes, but we pay more taxes in Germany.
Yes, that's the other thing.
And we also pay
more,
more percentage of our earnings in fucking taxes.
Yes, that's the other thing. That's one of the. I said I have problems with the Heritage Foundation's measurement system because it seems flawed in many ways. The fact that they go on to government spending, saying the U.S. is terrible with its government spending, but pretty much all the Western countries are terrible with their government spending. I think there's only Switzerland might be one of the few examples that have relatively maybe fine government spending. What do you think, Val?
I don't fucking know. As far as I understand, every other politician's mansion is counted as a government expense, so I would imagine it's also one of the highest, unofficially though.
Well, anyways,
Pedro said something else.
Actually, I think Norway, Finland, Sweden, aren't they paying off their debts? And doesn't Estonia have a relatively very low debt rate?
I have no idea about Estonia. I do know Norway is fairly okay. As for Sweden, I just know that every other complaint I hear from a Swede mainly comes down to the new debts that Sweden is creating.
So Sweden debt, at least when I look it up on Google, it looks like Norway, Sweden are all going down, including the Netherlands.
Oh, Pets is gone again.
So I mean, so it was in 2014 it went up, and then it's been going down since then. Anyways, what was it? Fucking, yeah, I don't know, I thought I'd just chime in. Estonia has a very low debt rate. They actually, Estonia, it's not, debt is not a very positive thing in their culture.
Well, anyways, as I'm saying with the Heritage Foundation, I think their system, how they're calculating things, I think might be very flawed. Because, especially when I compare it with the Cato Institute, and as I said, I trust them on economics, the Cato Institute, and they come to very different conclusions compared to the Heritage Foundation. So, anyways, let's go on to the next one, which would be number 14. Ranks 26.
What was Pedro saying over here? The USA education model comes from the pre-German unification state known as Prussia. Yes, Prussia still exists now, by the way. Which was a highly regimented military dictatorship. It was a kingdom. Every other state before that was a kingdom.
No, but wait, go back to the comment. What do you mean, Prussia still exists in some sense?
Oh, Prussian society. It basically doesn't exist in name, but it's still there, everything.
You mean in the sense of Germany existing?
No, in the sense of the region is still very Prussian now. It hasn't really died out, and it's only increased since the Cold War's ending.
It's like a
Germany
cultural
should reform and
thing.
Prussia again.
Ah, man, that'll be exciting.
Anyways, back to what I was saying with the number 14. Ranked 26 out of 35 countries in life expectancy. Again, that has to do with the fact of obesity.
Yeah, and also you gotta remember at the top of the list is not Sweden, Iceland.
Something else I wanted to talk about. So costs. So when they're calculating taxes, you also have to ask if they're just calculating government paid taxes or also the average paid taxes for healthcare, blah blah blah, and they're putting that into their equation. Because once you calculate that into your equation, you might get a different result. So if somebody is calculating the cost of the average healthcare with the average, rent or average, loan for a house, or the average wage, taxes. So it's like you can easily cherry pick, or you can just put them all into a blender and see which one costs more.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like America might cost more. So, I'm not like these things. I'm agnostic on. It's kind
I'm
of
not talking about whether the U.S. costs less in their healthcare. I'm just talking about the problems with certain measurements with, for example, the Economic Freedom Index from the Heritage Foundation. How they come to their conclusions of certain measurements seems a bit flawed.
To be fair, I am also kind of realizing that there is one thing we haven't talked about that reduces the U.S.'s position in life expectancy.
What else is that?
Florida is a thing. Hey, I'm sorry.
California.
California is more drugs. Florida is more where someone gets drunk and then goes into a fight with an alligator.
Anyways, again, as I was saying,
the only difference is the type of drug.
Again, ranked number 14, obesity and how fat the U.S. is. That is the main reason as to why the life expectancy is so low compared to other countries. Now, rate of homelessness, not exceptional, not compared to most developed nations. I'm not exactly sure on this one, so I can't say whether for certain as to what the homeless rates exactly are in the United States.
The only thing that I know about homeless rates is that California is the capital of it for the U.S.
Yep. To be fair, a lot of the homeless people in the United States move to California because it has a much more moderate climate and because they won't get punished of any sort.
I thought it was because the epicenter of homelessness in California is also San Francisco, and most of the homeless in San Francisco used to be people who started businesses in San Francisco, and then the taxes hit.
They have found that a large percentage of people were not originally from California. They moved to California, the homeless, a lot of them. So it's actually California's getting a homeless population increasing from other states because it has such a moderate climate compared to many other states in the United States, and it has also
a very lenient
enforcement of the law on homeless, with where they poop, where they piss, where they shoot up drugs.
Once again, you're just describing San Francisco.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So yeah, that is the main reasons as to why. That is one of the reasons, but that is one major reason as to why California has such a huge homeless population. The other reason is obviously because it's so damn expensive because of the fact that our housing system is so heavily regulated in California.
I was about to say, yeah, a lot of the taxes and stuff you guys deal with is mostly contributing to it. Plus the fact that if you try to open up your own business per se, you literally have to pay somebody $15 an hour regardless of skill quality.
Mm-hmm. I'll give him maybe 15 is correct. I'll say maybe he's right on 15 just because I don't know much about other nations' homeless population problems.
I just know that London's situation with homelessness has become so bad that it's reaching Victorian level homelessness.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's that bad.
Well, I mean, not only that, but compare the life a homeless guy lives here compared to somewhere else. It's a lot better, I guarantee you.
Yeah, but even I suspect that when it comes to the homeless in California, they're slowly going to make a move to Oregon, more precisely Portland.
No, let's go on.
No, hear me out quickly as to why I come up with that theory. First off,
weren't they shipping guys off into like Arizona or some shit?
Okay, I have no clue about that. I just want to finish my joke. First citation, the wildfire increase rate of California. It's kind of annoying if you're homeless and if your home catches on fire. And the other portion is in Portland, now with all the Antifa over there, if you're stronger than an Antifa member, which isn't too hard considering the amount of soylent that they consume, you just steal their drugs. It's a simple business. You steal their drugs, their money, you get your food. If anything, you also get good clothing because it's oftentimes that they wear stupid... What's a stupid, expensive brand that Antifa likes to wear? Gucci? I could have sworn one of them wore something from
Armani.
Gucci once.
To be honest with you, this kind of like this. I know you're just joking, but this kind of does bug me because I've actually had conversations with people where people genuinely believe Nazis are all cowards, and there's people who believe Antifa people are all cowards and weak. So like the left, like there's a portion of the left that there's a portion of the left that actually genuinely believes that.
Yeah,
There's a
I
portion of
know.
the right that genuinely
But
believes
what
that.
I'm
It's
also
so
noticing.
frustrating.
Yeah, but when you also look at the footage of what I'm talking about, okay, let's take the current protest outside of Powell's bookstore, because Andy Nago's book Unmasked is going to be released over there, and Antifa really doesn't want the book to be released. So they've been protesting outside the store for like several days now. The protest has been an average size of 6 people. One is who is in a mobility scooter. The other one who looks to be 5 foot something and scrawny arms. And the last one who looks like can put up a fight was a BLM member who was black, who then beat up the shorter one and stole something from him. Anyways,
I'm not gonna say that Antifa doesn't have a habit of attracting those type of people, but my whole point that I'm trying to say is I don't know.
Well, here's a good way, in my opinion, to put it.
The whole point I'm trying to make here, Z Commander, is that probably doesn't represent all the people within Antifa. Antifa probably does
of course,
have some men
because
that are 5'10".
when the Minneapolis riot started, did you not see the giant?
No, but I'm just saying
they had like a 7 foot tall gugi who was roided out.
But anybody. I'm just saying anybody can be an Antifa member. Anybody can be like, a rioter. It's just or alt-right. Just it really bugs me how much certain people actually genuinely believe that their oppositions are all just weak cowards.
Okay, I'll say it like this: in the city that I had to go to.
Yeah, but
I'm just gonna end this quickly. The city that I have to go to, the last school place that I had to go to before this whole fucking pandemic hit, was in a certain region of the city, where everywhere is fucking spray painted or stickered Antifa controlled zone, because we have those in Germany, and I get to see these Antifa members out sometime, and I can tell you I am close to 2 feet taller than them, and if I grab a baseball bat, I'm gonna shatter their body and put them into a fucking cripple chair for the rest of their life. I don't necessarily want to do that, but if they're gonna come at me with a knife, I don't know.
Yeah, like to be fair, like that is a very good point. If you're actually like constantly seeing them, like that is a much more fair point. It's just like when I talk with some of the people, like one time, so I used to be in Vosh's server for a bit, and when I was in his server, some of the stuff I heard was definitely ludicrous. There were certain people that actually genuinely believe that if you just punched a Nazi, he'll just run away, and that Nazis are actually all just cowards, and if you just stand up to them like a bully, they'll just back down. Like, it didn't really work so well on the Charlottesville riot, and then like I hear
that's
very
what I was
similar...
about to say. The only difference that the only opposition that I have to that statement is that every political side sees their opposition as weak. That's the default human position. We always see our opponents weak. The difference is that Antifa likes to try to beat up people only for themselves to be beaten up in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, like just to be charitable, I mean, like I was never claiming that you were. I was never claiming Z Commander that like this wasn't a debate. I was never claiming you were saying that all leftists or all Antifa are weak. I'm just saying it bugs me when I hear like Vosh's community refers to all Nazis being cowards or.
Yeah, but then we're also talking about the same community that's hosted by the guy who says that rape is bad, but then openly admitted that he will willingly rape someone's wife and child.
Didn't he say that? Didn't he say that? Like, was it a joke? I didn't actually see it. Like, did he say
no?
He
meant it seriously in some series on Discord, and people found the whole thing. And also, that's not counting. This was around the time where he pissed off a lot of people because he was also trying to justify child porn. Anyways, let's go to Roy and end this whole nightmare. If anyone from YouTube is watching, Z was talking about Minecraft. Yes, let's agree it was Minecraft.
Anyways, we've gone way off topic. I don't know why we went on to that, but let's go
because
on to
that's the human condition.
Anyways, next one is number 16, ranks 76 72nd in terms of female participation in government, which is absolutely superfluous because women can participate in government, they just don't want to participate in government.
Yeah, but also you can kind of cite Europe and other countries for maybe it's not a good thing. Germany, Britain, New Zealand.
Anyways, as far as women participating in government, they are fully capable. There's nothing preventing them from participating in government. There have been studies asking whether if you would not vote for a woman for running for government. People said no. The vast majority, over 90% of people said they would vote for a woman if they had their political views. So they don't care about the sex. It's just that women don't tend to want to run for government. That's just a fact.
I would like to say something. In Canada, one of our most hated prime ministers was a woman, Margaret Thatcher, who is a conservative. And by the way, she was a conservative. Margaret Thatcher was a conservative. She was not a very popular politician. And who was it with Theresa? Was it Theresa May wasn't a very popular politician. And who wasn't a very Hillary Clinton definitely wasn't a very popular politician. I've just noticed like there tends like most of what like women tend to have a really, from what I've seen in recent history from like Canada, the United States, and Britain, is that women tend to not really do as well when it comes to being like a leader.
Also, isn't Margaret Thatcher Britain?
Yeah.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm not trying to say women can't be effective leaders or
No. What I'm trying to say is that you said Canadian leader, and then you said Margaret Thatcher.
I said Canadian, Britain, and United States. Maybe you didn't hear that. I'm just saying. I've noticed.
Which one was the Canadian leader then? Because you said Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher was Britain.
Canadian woman. I don't know what her name was. Kim Campbell. That's her name, I think.
Hell, at least you're not as bad as New Zealand's prime minister.
Look, yeah. Once again, I'm not trying to say like, I'm not trying to say all women are bad leaders, but I've noticed
there's a pattern.
Yeah, I've noticed a bit of a pattern. Maybe there's more of a pattern if I keep looking at. But something I've noticed is like a lot of business owners I've talked to have told me that women generally do better in positions of leadership, but it's like in businesses, it's more like a position of being a boss. And in politics, I've noticed that people tend to actually prefer men more that are for a position of leadership.
Well,
it's just something I've noticed. I'm not trying to say women can't be politicians. I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for a woman. I'm just saying it's something I've noticed when I've talked.
You don't need to repeat yourself on that one piece. You may need to apologize to YouTube afterwards, but that's not our problem.
Yeah, I may need to apologize to YouTube, but like, it's just something I've noticed when I talk to business owners. Most of them say that their female managers tend to do better. Anyways, Rational, you want to say something?
Well, my main thing was that the number 16 here he puts is superfluous, and as I said, nothing's preventing women from going into politics. It's just they don't want to run in politics.
To be fair, if you want to see the worst country for women politicians as an example, it would be Germany. Because to give the best case, we've had a green politician who was raped by a migrant. But then didn't report him because she feared he might be deported.
Is this a joke?
Nope, this is a real politician. The only reason why we found out was because he was later arrested because he raped a 16-year-old.
Anyways, so going on to number 17.
Ouch.
You okay?
Ranked.
Just ran over my cable and brought my head down.
Oh, yeah, you might want to take care of that.
Currently ranked 28th in social progress index. I'm assuming that they're talking about the supposed idea that there's white supremacy or white privilege and all that bullcrap, which is all false, and there's no statistic evidence really to really support that. I'm assuming that's what they mean.
Could you repeat that one more time, Rational?
They said they currently ranked 28th in social progress index. I'm assuming they're talking about the whole idea of institutional racism, probably.
Is that an assumption? I mean, like, just curious? Or?
I'm assuming that's my assumption is what they mean by social progress, because I don't know what else they could possibly mean by that.
They could mean social mobility. They could just mean, it could be social mobility, debt, social progress.
What is, let's see, social progress index. Let me look that up.
I'm not like that. Yeah, I'm just saying like social progress could also be, like it could also be divorce rates. It could be like what is social progress, right? And like.
Okay, let's see. What is this? We provide decision makers on everyday citizens with social and environmental health of their societies and help prioritize actions that accelerate social progress. What the hell does that even mean? Just tell me what the fuck you mean.
It does.
I
Yeah,
do not know.
It sounds like question begging almost. Like reading it like
Yeah,
that.
because what I'm trying to point out is on their map, Germany is higher rated than the US, because the US is, what is it? Tier 3, which I guess is supposed to be down, and Germany is apparently higher. Also, what I find funny is that on their page, there is home, learn about us, okay, some questions. And then there's view the index, and this is where I found funny. Global and California. These are the two options. I wonder what happens if I click California.
Okay, so here's what they have. So this index is using multiple different things. Personal freedom of choice, technically it should be 100% there. The United States, you have complete freedom of choice. Health and wellness, well, yeah, that's because of obesity. Personal safety, well, that's mostly because there's...
How the fuck does Germany have higher an opportunity than the United States? I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this. According to this, it says that Germany has a higher opportunity than the United States for work and improvement. Yeah, fuck no.
Okay.
I mean, like, I'm actually curious, Commander. Why do you have that particular opinion? Like, just curious.
Because in Germany, the state legally doesn't have to tell you everything when it comes to the taxes that you need. So when you want to start a business, you need to officially hire someone from the government to basically tell you what you're allowed, and their rates can go anywhere between a few €100 to spend to up to 50,000 euros.
So basically,
the government blocks you from starting a business because they refuse to tell you things, and then you can get into super legal trouble, which could also lead to jail time or massive fines, or even you just having your business forced to be suspended.
Okay.
There is very little freedom when it comes to starting a business now. It was much better in the 80s underneath Reagan.
Anyways, next one we have is personal...
Hey guys, I gotta get going, but I want to leave with this real quick. Remember when we were talking about Antifa?
Mm-hmm.
They might be inconfident now, but if they start to get normal people and, well, like most revolutions, that won't stay like that. Just a nerdy class of people. That won't be like that forever. All right, I'll see you guys later.
All right, see you later, Putza.
Bye.
All right, so the next thing we have here is personal safety, as I was saying. That is technically true, yes. However, there's some problems with saying that because it needs to give context. It's the fact there is a problem within Black and Hispanic communities with gang culture. That's the main problem why there is so much. I'm assuming they're talking about the amount of crime happening. I'm assuming that's what they mean by personal safety. Yes, there's problems, so I'll give them that. Environmental quality, I'm pretty sure the United States is relatively fine. We do have more pollution, yes. However, it's nothing like super bad or anything. What would you say, Z?
I don't know. Germany, we're doing pretty good, but that's also because the force keeps because the state keeps forcing us to do things that even to our own detriment.
Now, the next thing they have here is inclusiveness.
Uh-oh.
Assuming they mean by... what do they mean? If they can give me a definition, exactly what they mean by inclusiveness.
Well, it can range anywhere between black people can live in this neighborhood to let Tyrone go into the little girl's room. Oh god, that's the state of Berlin.
Assuming if they're talking about what we think they're talking about, it's probably bullshit. So I don't think it's a very good index to use to make a lot of these claims. Now, let's go on to the next one. Largest incarceration rates and prison populations per capita in the world. Again, that has to do with the fact that black population commits a huge amount of crime. Same thing with the Hispanic population committing a huge amount of violent crime. And this is mostly because of gang culture. Yes, I'm going to say it is a problem. However, it's not because of not so much as capitalism's fault in the United States or anything like that. It's just there's a cultural problem in both communities. There's a cultural problem with gang culture. So I'll give him that. So let's say he got 17. Let's give him half of. He's got 18. He's got one of the others. He's got two and a half, I would say.
Anyways, also the other thing with the largest incarceration rates. If you get rid of, what is it, St. Louis, Detroit, and Chicago, the United States drastically drops on the incarceration map.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, if you get rid of, for example, the violent crime committed by Black and Hispanic population, the U.S. drops considerably in the amount of deaths per capita. It's still higher than would be other Western countries. However, it would be considerably less.
Brazil is the worst, though.
Anyways, let's see. Highest obesity rate. Okay, yeah. Again, kind of connects to some of the others.
Mm-hmm. Are we gonna completely ignore the one because you missed a world leader in student debt?
World leader in student debt.
Yes, but also because too many fucking people take, what is it, gender study courses.
Yes,
it's not even a joke.
There are people who take that, but we also got to look at the fact that student debt is probably not a very good measure because other countries, other Western countries, if I recall, pay the student, no, not pay, but student debt is paid through taxes, if I am correct, right? What about Germany?
I have no clue. All that I know is that if you come from India or China, the state is willing to pay your entire school fees to get you to study in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In some weird manner to get us to look better on the world.
Okay, then what about with Germany's colleges? Are they paid through taxes or how are they paid through?
No clue. I genuinely can't answer that.
Well, I would assume it's probably something like that. So let's see. Now yes, this list is left off all sorts of relevant metrics. Wait, what is this even?
How couldn't it? And then citation himself.
Brother.
It's a joke.
Oh, yeah, but whatever. Anyways, I will give him maybe 5 points out of 20. So, let's see. His score of his testing is... So, 5 divided by 20. He gets a score of 25.
Wait, did you seriously need to just calculate out a quarter?
Zip it. Anyways, he gets an F.
Okay.
Anyways, those are my main problems with the video. I think the rest, we don't have even time to cover the rest. Did you want to give any thoughts, history at all? You can give defenses and
so internationally speaking, I can't blame people for, like, the United States is exceptional when it comes to freedom of speech. Is exceptional when it comes to
gun rights.
Gun rights, international leadership. But most importantly, what it's really exceptional at is confronting Chinese globalism and, or better way to say, authoritarian globalism.
Well, that was before Biden.
Yep.
Okay, well,
it was.
Yeah, good point. But
not the best example to bring now.
Even with Biden, I think to some extent it still will. Besides the fact they'll be a little bit paid off probably by this point. But my point I'm trying to get across here is there are a lot of good things about the United States, whatever. But I see the same problem in Canada. People are sort of brought up being taught that the place that they're living is an exceptional. And the problem I have with it is people sort of having this idea in their mind that Uncle Sam is going to actually recently. My problem, like, I'm trying to word this properly. My brain feels a little fried. My problem is when it comes to the state recognizing the interests of the people that they're actually using, and particularly just in short, obviously not only being behind the times, but just. I don't know, I guess you could say short end stick of the deal. I mean, like, if you go across the world, see different parts of the world, you get to start to have an idea of which place is better, you know? Once again, not hating on America. I'm also not hating on Canada. It's just, it's this idea of indoctrinating in nationalism without exactly giving people much in return for their service.
And it's kind of the same reason why I wouldn't exactly join the German army at the moment.
Yeah, once again, not hating on America. You know, no hate. Yeah, no hate to Canada. Like, you know, BC. I wasn't hating on either of them. Just
yeah, don't worry. We don't need to hear your angry beaver noises.
You do need to hear my angry beaver noises. How dare you? Goddamn. Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Anyways, any other, like, did you want to give any defenses to what creationist has provided? Any defenses? If
I mean, I liked the fact that he included the theme of America and the theme of people like the idea of a hopeful movie, even in a world that feels more hopeless and out of control more than ever. Like, I liked some of the themes in the movie where he talks about the fact that there's certain characters that represent people that feel victimized by war crimes or by international interventions, or there's like, when he starts to compare the characters, it makes a lot of sense. But I just want to say, like, I've already said this before, Creationist Cat is a bit of a cunt and he's a bit biased. So I mean, like, if you have any criticisms to him, like, I don't blame you. Well, honestly, I take these studies with a grain of salt, but if you dislike the video for that reason, I can't blame you. I don't really want to overly defend Vadim. I disagree with him on a lot. Your stance I respect. Honestly, no. I don't really have a whole lot else much to say, really. Like, yeah, he's kind of a cunt.
Anyways, these were my main problems with it. I just wanted to... The only other thing I would like to say is, I don't know, did he touch nationalism? I didn't watch the entire video because I mostly wanted to touch this portion and was hoping to watch the other part later, but we don't have time to watch it. Did he touch on trying to say nationalism leads to white nationalism at all, or did he not touch on that kind of idea?
Not that I can think of. Like, maybe he's somewhat, like, he kind of did like a Trump jab, but, like, he does jabs, but a lot of his jabs are supposed to be kind of comedic. He's left-wing. That isn't really, I don't think that is cuntish. Like, when he brings up statistics that are biased, that's kind of a cuntish move, okay? Like, you know, you can do a leftist jab, that's fine. But not that I particularly remember. Maybe he did, like, kind of pull a cuntish move. But a big part of this movie was also comparing, like, the characters. Like, what was it? The character Starlight and Huey, where, you know, they were kind of brought up believing in sort of a bit of a fantasy, when in reality, the people that are causing the intervention do not give a fuck about anyone else that get killed in the crossfire. Like, so when he starts talking about the characters, I think it's a really good video. And that's what I really enjoyed about the videos, when he started talking about the characters. And he started relating it to America and exceptionalism. Something that particularly, I guess I could say, is a criticism of maybe some of the far right. Now, this is also a criticism of the far left, like you see with Shoe and Head, is where people sort of give these, you know, these very dog whistly type jokes. Like, there's an episode where Stormfront. So if anyone's watching The Boys, I'm going to give you a warning sign to click off now, or to mute right now, because I'm going to give some spoilers. Is everyone okay with that, or no spoilers?
I've already watched the entire...
Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So spoilers happening. Don't get mad at me. So there's this girl named Starfront, and she's a Nazi. And in it, she says, you know, the American people, they don't agree with what I'm with Nazis, but they agree with what I'm saying. Now, you could take that as a jab at Trump, but I wouldn't really say that's so much just Trump. Like, the writers admitted that a part of it actually has more to do with online memes. Like, the Charlottesville shooter said that in his own manifesto, that memes have probably done more for the alt-right than arguments or debate ever have. Memes are passionate, that make people move, you know. Like, even Faraday Speaks, when he used to kind of fall down that rabbit hole, you know, the memes are kind of a big thing for it. So you see the same thing with the left, like with people that are, you know, jabbing at capitalism, but they claim that they're still a capitalist. There's some of them that are, no, they're straight socialists, and they're just kind of, you know, they're just trying to rile up their They're trying to rile up their supporter. So I think that's something that you kind of do see. Like I enjoy like when he started relating the movie The Boys to the real world. So that's something I can defend. But like the studies, if his studies are biased, which I have not really looked through, yeah, that's kind of a cuntish move. Yeah.
Anyways, apparently the Washington Post has gone full on BuzzFeed.
They've been like that for years now.
Yeah, but they rarely do articles that sound more like a BuzzFeed article. But this time they've actually gotten it. So to understand Trump's supporter, it's apostrophe S, Trump's support. Oh, okay. To understand Trump's support, we must think in terms of multiracial whiteness.
The fuck does that even mean?
I do not know.
Wait, where is this coming from? Is this
Washington
from a study?
Post.
Washington Post, he said.
Was this related to Vadim's video?
No, this is nothing to do with the video.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would. Actually, no, I'd be a little surprised. I don't know.
Anyways, I think we're done with the video. If anyone wants to give any final comments, criticisms, defenses.
Honestly, it's been great talking with you again, Rational Outlaw. I should do this more often. Same as you, Z Commander. And have I met you before, by the way?
Me?
BigRedWolphe, yeah.
I think I've been on a few streams with you, but nothing for too long. I usually catch the tail end of it like I did today.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, my biggest problem with American exceptionalism or whatever, my biggest problem is, I guess you could say, the people that serve our country and just, I guess you could, pragmatically speaking, I guess you could say the amount that which the state simps for women and where it actually puts particularly hardworking men that come back from fighting from wars after they come home, the wives divorce them, takes the kids, takes the alimony.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
And honestly, just in general, like like alimony made sense. Like when you go back, like when divorce could first start happening, like it wasn't acceptable for women to be in the workplace as much as they are now. Like they, it might be more common to promote the male, not the female. Like I get it way back when, but like right now in our modern day and age, it just doesn't make sense,
Yeah, I agree.
It's like oh yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, does anyone want to bring up any other topic before we end the video?
Thank you for having me here.
Stream.
All right, so I guess we'll end it pretty much here. The only things I would like to say is, everyone, thank you for joining, for watching the stream. If you are watching this now or later on, please go ahead and subscribe and share this content if you would like. And also, if you really like my content, please consider donating to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi, or you can buy something from my merch store. And of course, also follow me on Medium. I'm still trying to build up my follower base there. There's only, I think, 21 people currently, including Z, on there who are following me. So please go follow me there. Just create an account, follow me, and give my articles 50 claps. I am going to make some probably articles behind a paywall, but you will be able to get to see those articles because I'll post them on Twitter and also on my YouTube community page, in which you'll be able to see them for free. So it doesn't matter whether you have a paid subscription to Medium or not, you'll be able to see them. Anyways, so go ahead and check those my Medium page out. As I said, I post articles on there. And of course, also consider consider commissioning or getting a commission from Z Commander. He does different models on different things.
Join my Discord for more information. It's a dead place. I need to whip the few people over there. Like, you, Wolf, you need to post more.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyways. Well, yeah, also, not only he needs to post more, he also needs to finish some of the artwork. I haven't seen some of your finished artwork.
Well, you're looking at one of them, sort of.
Anyways, yeah, the other more percent that you can also commission. I don't know if RedWolphe has his commission list out of what he's going to charge exactly, but RedWolphe does some amazing art as well. So go ahead and think about commissioning him. You can
find me on Discord.
Yes, yeah. I have your Discord. I think name on the description.
Yeah, it's the same thing as what's here.
And the other thing I would like to say is you can also consider following Neko Boy. He does his different geek culture content, so you can go follow him on YouTube and Twitter. Yes. Anyways, that's it. You can also follow History as well. He has his own YouTube channel by the same name, History Studio Disciple.
Yes, you should, Roy. You should do that.
Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm your host, Ration Outlaw.